Yo, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? Ackland, and of course, welcome back to what is episode 23 of the Barrens Chat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I am, of course, Ackland, your host for this afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world, or morning if you're in America. But I am very, very happy to have all of you back here once again for some lore, and this time around some drama. You know, what would WoW be without a little bit of drama just sprinkled in there, you know, ever so slightly. Troubleshooter, how are you doing, sir? I hope you're doing very, very well. Let me just make sure because there's a bunch of people over on YouTube already, and that has not shown up in the chat yet. Drew, how you doing? Aston, how you doing? Mr. Colossal, Cyrena, Damn, Julie, how you guys doing? Kiki, how you doing? Finally, some good fucking stream. Hey, happy. Not too bad. Working from home, doing some IT stuff. Nice. For those of you that normally watch your streams over on Twitch, we are live on Twitch as well, so you're welcome to check us out there. And for those of you on YouTube, how you guys doing? Welcome to our weekly check-in. 12 minutes early. Hopefully people joining at the top of the hour will not miss anything. Aston, it's been my experience that doesn't matter. You know, I can start on the hour, and there will be people that normally wait that will be waiting, and people will arrive later. It doesn't matter. I think most people, because the problem with the Twitch note, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but on YouTube, when you click notify me on a stream, it doesn't really do anything. It's once the person goes live, you get notified of that live. That's pretty much it. At least that's what I have found. I don't get any sort of special notification that tells me, oh, you know, this is coming up or something. Maybe I'm just missing it, but at least from what I've seen. Miracos, how you doing? I hope you guys are doing very, very well. And I hope that the new patch has been treating you good. If that is something I could ask. From what I can tell, a lot of people are not too happy about this new patch. We'll discuss it. We'll definitely discuss it, because I know there's a lot of people that's not too happy. So we'll get into all of that. The new patch is great for Space Marine 2. I'm waiting for the new patch in Total WoW. The Brutus or Drama, we're gonna do the Brutus or Drama. Yeah. The patch made me play Marksmanship Hunter for the first time properly since TBC. Oh, nice. I mean, that is one good thing about it, of course. Token, how you doing? Dark Ranger Pumps. I still feel conflicted about returning to WoW and haven't returned. So you feel conflicted about returning to WoW. I feel reluctant to give people straight up advice, because if you ask me, should you play WoW, my answer is yes. It's been yes since the launch of the expansion, because I enjoy the expansion. But I'm also very much aware of the fact that I play the game very differently to other people. Most of you that's been in the stream have heard me say this before. I don't play WoW as my main game. I have many games that is my main game. Basically, whatever game I'm in the mood for at the time is the main game that I'm playing. WoW, I play maybe, let's say, 3-4 days a week, maybe for a couple of hours at a time. Do some world quests, screw around in delves, which I love. Recently started getting into the follower dungeons. Really enjoy those as well. The story in the dungeons is obviously phenomenal, for most of the dungeons at least. So I'm not going to be indicative of your average player. So if you ask me, should I get in? I can't answer that. If you play like me, then yes, absolutely. It is the best state that I think World of Warcraft has ever been in for a player like myself. And I think there's so much room for WoW to grow still, for players like myself. But then if you're a Mythic Plus player, I would say right now is the worst time that you could ever start playing World of Warcraft, because I think of everyone I hear everyone I speak to hates Mythic Plus. Just absolutely hates it. Even the most ardent fans of World of Warcraft, I mean people that I have never heard criticize WoW, is criticizing Mythic Plus and WoW in general at the moment. The balance is completely broken, and the balancing patch that was supposed to be 11.0.5 just broke things even further. We're going to get into the patch shenanigans in a little bit, but all of this is just a mess. The raid, from what I've heard, people aren't too happy with the raid either. For some people, the raid felt way too easy. Other people felt that some of the bosses were a little overtuned. I'm not sure how much stock to put into that because I genuinely haven't been inside the raid yet. But I know one thing, and that is that anyone that cares about gearing, that likes the process of let's get gear, let's get better gear, let's get even better gear and keep doing that, so they like that loop, that gameplay loop, they are very unhappy in this patch because the gameplay loop ends ridiculously quickly. It feels like Blizzard maybe didn't quite get it right in terms of how fast versus how slow should this process be. And look, it is a difficult process. It's not something that you can just nail. It may be that Blizzard felt like they had so much content that they could let people gear quickly because there was so much other content that people could do. And what ended up happening is most people geared within the first month, basically to completion. And now they're just sort of sitting around waiting for the next patch to happen. And of course, the big problem is 11.0.5 doesn't really bring with it any new hardcore content. At least for the people that care about that kind of stuff, right? It doesn't bring any sort of new hardcore stuff for them to do or really new super mega gearing for them to do. And so it just ends up feeling really crap. And Demon Salad, I get your point, and I actually do agree with you. I think if you make it faster, that's there's some value in that. If you make it like the problem is, I wouldn't go so far as to just straight up say Demon Salad that it is a good thing, because I do think the problem is that, as with all things in life, there's a balance that needs to be struck. If the gearing loop is too fast, it ends up feeling, who cares? If the gearing loop is too slow, it ends up feeling finally rather than woohoo, right? That's the best way to describe it. The one thing that you don't want is your players going, after they fully geared in a month. Because now they're sitting around going, what do I do now? The other thing you don't want is your players going, finally, when that last piece of gear drops, versus woohoo. And all of that comes down to balance. How long does it actually take? I think I agree with players that this one was maybe a little too quick, because I saw people being pretty much fully geared within the first almost 3 weeks. Like within the first 3 weeks, there were people who were literally missing 1 or 2 items and they'd be fully geared. That's bad. That's definitely not the place to be. But then also at the same time, you get, you get those patches, and we've all been there, where you get these patches where it takes you the full patch cycle just to get fully geared, no matter how hardcore you play. That's also really bad, and you don't want to be there. So maybe Blizzard needs to really check what did they do in this expansion, and how can they sort of, to be honest, if I'm going to be this is both a little courteous towards Blizzard, but also maybe a little bit condemnation, a little bit of condemning here. Every single first patch, not first patches in 11.05 or the 05 patches, I mean, every single base patch of World of Warcraft have almost always had major balancing issues. It is genuinely as if when Blizzard launches that first patch, they never actually get it right. Every single first patch, there's been complaints. I remember back when I was a raider, the first raid would either be so ridiculously overtuned that you can barely get it down, or it would be so easy that people just smash through it in a couple of weeks and they're done. Like, there's never been that balance where, okay, they've nailed it. Then you have dungeons doing the exact same thing, right? It just doesn't, like, some of the dungeons completely overtuned, some of the dungeons completely undertuned. It never really feels like that patch just nails it in. Now I get that it's easier said than done. Just balance, bro. Because obviously everything changes with a new expansion, right? And especially with this expansion, where you have the new hero talents, that obviously makes some changes to how the specs play and how the specs will perform damage-wise. I can also understand at the same time the frustration of the player base. Because from a player perspective, there is that sort of thing of, all right, I get this is hard, but I don't give a shit. I want to be able to play my game, and I cannot play my game because you guys are screwing up the balance. I've heard from Warlock players that have asked if I have any insight into Warlocks. Do I have a build that maybe allows them to be competitive? I've heard that Warlocks aren't even taken to most Mythic Plus because they're just completely broken and they don't do any real DPS. I've heard other people say Warlocks are completely overtuned. I don't know what's the truth there. I've gathered Augmentation Evoker is still a major problem. You guys can tell me better in chat, but from what I've gathered, the one complaint I see popping up consistently is Augmentation Evoker. Apparently still completely broken and really just unbalanced. But again, I don't really know because I don't play there. I don't do Mythic Plus. So yeah, I think it's a really difficult position to be in as a content creator, at least, because I on the one hand, I need to be fair towards Blizzard. I can't just sit here and say, well, screw them, because I understand that there's a lot more that goes into it. But then I also need to be fair to the player base, who really, it's not the player's problem, And I think that is something that Blizzard needs to accept this. Their failure to balance the game correctly is not the player's problem. The player doesn't need to have patience in this regard. And I think the big one was, again, the fact that I saw some tweets from some of the hardcore audience that they were telling Blizzard, your class balance is wrong. The way you're trying to balance the game is going to break it further. This was during the PTR. And Blizzard continued the way that they did, the way that they did it. So clearly Blizzard had different data to what the hardcore base had. Let's hope that gets fixed. That's all I can really say. Can I get a show of hands from everyone in chat? How many of you are currently not overjoyed with the state of World of Warcraft? Drew, we don't know yet, right? When Rootlands is coming, but I'm hoping that Rootlands is coming. Rachel, how you doing? Oh shit, Ariana, you're so unhappy you unsub. Anti-product, how you doing, sir? Digital Zug, how you doing? Valestris, how you doing? It's okay to put group content. I've been overjoyed since Mob. I'm completely blackballed from Blizzard in general and have no intention to go back to at the current moment. That's fair. I've unsubbed after the first time since Dragon Soul. Shit. I enjoy it, but I quit trying to play competitively long ago. Welcome, so you're in my area, my neck of the woods. Where I'm also just having fun. I could give two shits about, hardcore play. Sad Destrolock, Strauss, I'm feeling you, man. I'm having fun. Kazma, that's good. Retail got boring. I just started a fresh classic character. Gee. Demon Soul, you're not alone. I know quite a few people that are sort of falling between, classic and retail, and they can't really land it. So did you get your longbow yet, Akalon? Only £72. Gnostica, I wouldn't buy that even if it was £5. I don't care. Even if it's £1, I wouldn't buy that. Never thought I would say it, but I miss Barrens Chat. Dog, how you doing, bro? It just got my 4th level 80 last night, so I'm enjoying it. Not caring about high keys or hardcore raiding makes playing so much more fun for me, just chilling. Yeah, I feel the same. I'm actually super happy with how WoW is right now. Finished KSH and working on alts because this is the most friendly it has ever been for them. Boulder, that's also very good. Cypher Gamer, how you doing? AJ Zane, how you doing? What's the drama about? Sorry, just jumped in. We'll get to the drama in a second. Been playing for a while, did the competitive stuff many years ago, realized it really isn't fun, so I just do stuff on a random whim most of the time. So I kind of want to push back against this concept. Many of you have raised this in the comment section, in chat, and I want to push back on this. Is it really not fun to do competitive content? Is that true? I would argue no. I don't think the problem is the competitive content. I don't think the problem is that competitive is just not fun. I think the problem is how things have turned out in World of Warcraft. And I realize this is going to sound a little bit critical of Blizzard, but I want you to understand this is literally my criticism. I'm not suggesting that that's how the game should be. I'm not suggesting that Blizzard should make sweeping changes to make me happy. I'm just telling you how I feel about it and what would actually get me back into something like Mythic Plus, something like Mythic Raiding. I want fun to be the number one thing that is the focus in Mythic Plus and in Mythic Raiding, not challenge. By that, I don't mean that I want these fights to be completely overtuned or undertuned to the point where they just fall over. But I mean is I want to be able to go into a raid and have fun with my mates, have jokes and fuck around and not feel like we have to be absolute sweaty gamers just to get a boss down. I don't want to have to tell people, listen here, can everyone shut the fuck up because we have to work on this super intricate interrupt rotation and also CC rotation just to get the boss down, because if one of these ads even gets a single cast off, the tank dies and it's good game. I don't like that. The whole point for me, when I remember when I first got into raiding, one of my favorite things was for 3 hours, me and my friends would just be bantering back and forth, giving each other shit, making jokes, having a laugh. And then all of that started to disappear. The fights got more and more complex. Suddenly, everyone had to be mega focused because you have a boss that basically needs an interrupt rotation a mile long. So this guy's going to interrupt, and this guy's going to interrupt, and this guy's going to interrupt, and this guy's going to interrupt. But then you need an interrupt because one of the ads also has an interrupt that they require. You also need a DK tank because the DK has to grip the ad in. And if you don't have a DK tank, then you need someone to interrupt the ad and also bring the ad over. And this guy has to do this, and the tanks have to discuss this, and the tanks have to do this. And the healers have to have a whole rotation on who use what on what so that everyone can stay alive. And if one person screws up and all of this is done, all right, white boys, let's start again because you guys are fucking morons. I hated that. I hated that. Because the whole point, the social aspect of going in there and being with a group of friends and having fun was replaced by everyone being dead quiet. I remember our Discord. Everyone being dead quiet on Discord. No one's allowed to speak because the raid leader has to be able to make crucial calls. The tanks need to be able to discuss stuff and make calls so that, this guy can taunt off because holy shit. And then I remember, of course, the parsing meta that showed up, and suddenly everyone was parsing all over the place. And what's your parsing like? Why are you not doing enough DPS? You would have people in chat basically discussing the bad parsing or the good parsing or whatever the case may be. It just ended up being a really bad time, at least for me, when it came to raiding. I stopped enjoying raids in World of Warcraft almost entirely. And I sometimes wish we could go back to the olden days. I sometimes really wish we could go back to, I don't know, maybe I'm just being full of crap. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe most of you think, well, Akko, actually, it's really good now. Although that's not the feeling I get when I listen to people, speak about this. And I think genuinely what ended up happening is Blizzard, at some point, Blizzard lost track of why people raid, why people do dungeons. And it's an easy mistake to make. You make these very competitive pieces of content. They then turn into almost like an esport, because let's be real, raiding has kind of turned into an esport. Dungeons or Mythic Plus has been an esport for a while. And what ends up happening now is you kind of like, I'll give you guys an example that maybe isn't as charged, because a lot of people will be emotionally a little bit more involved in WoW in this chat. League of Legends has been suffering from this exact same problem, where a lot of your ordinary League of Legends players have actually either quit the game or have literally gone to the most casual playstyle you can ever imagine. And the reason for that is, in many ways, because League of Legends is a competitive game, they have to balance the game around the competitive Andes. So what ends up happening is you have these champions in League of Legends. I'll use an example. You have a champion like Riven. Riven, for those of you that don't, I'm not going to go into explaining how Riven works. Riven is a very simple, straightforward champion to get in on, because most of her abilities are straightforward, very difficult to master, but super, super easy to get in on, and quite strong if you kind of know what you're doing. If you're not playing it perfect, if you kind of know what you're doing, Riven is a good champion. But Riven is severely underbuffed on pretty much every... Like, most people can't pick Riven unless they know how to play it. The reason Riot cannot buff Riven is because her toolkit is such. If they buff Riven even a little bit, pro players will absolutely destroy on that champion, because the champion has one of the highest DPS per minute in the game. Like, the champion can delete you in a few seconds, if not less than that. So you kind of you're stuck between this. What do we do? How do we do this? Then you have other champions. For example, Cassante is a great example. This is a champion where I have seen many amateurs play Cassante and they all get wrecked. The other day I was doing a normal, and I went top lane with Ziggs. Ziggs is actually a mid laner or an ADC, not actually supposed to be top lane, but I went top lane Ziggs. The enemy picked Cassante. I killed him like 5 times in the first, I think, 10 minutes or something. Because Cassante is one of those champions where the toolkit is very, very difficult to play. And unless you're almost a pro, you're not playing Cassante. Right? So that's the problem with the game. You have Riot stuck in this very hard position where they have to make champions that is interesting for pro play, but then most of the time those champions aren't playable by the overwhelming majority of players, or they make it easy for everyone to play, but then you have to severely underbuff them in order to make sure that they don't break pro play. And I feel like that's where Blizzard went wrong in their approach with Dungeons and Raids. Dungeons and Raids had to keep up so that they could be interesting to watch. You know, because now you can have those moments where the commentators are going, oh, they just used their last interrupt. This boss is gonna cast soon. Oh, he started casting. They have no interrupt. Oh, they're wiped. Oh, man. It's that hype moment, right? The audience going, oh, and maybe the tank pulls off a hero play and pops all of his cooldowns and survives the cast, and they go, he survived that. He survived that. And the audience goes, wow. But is that fun for the ordinary gamer? is the ordinary player that just wants to go in there and have a bit of fun with his friends, having the time of his life, not having an interrupt when he needs to interrupt. See, that's the issue. That's the issue. And I wonder if it might not be time for Blizzard to maybe pull back a little bit, and maybe reevaluate what is important in these dungeons. And that doesn't mean that you can't make the fights complex. It doesn't mean that you can't have difficulty. It just means that you have to keep in mind players come in here, first and foremost, to have fun. The complexity is something that it should always be done in accordance with fun being the main driving factor, the main force behind it. That at least would be my suggestion for Blizzard, but you know, it can be right, it can be wrong. Everyone's gonna have their own opinions on this, so I welcome everyone's opinion here. Decent MMOs, I don't know what you mean. I'd argue WoW's not even in top 10 of decent MMOs outside of the size of its player base and popularity. Many fantastic games out there. Which MMOs would you state is better than WoW, though? I think it is not going well, but I'm loving Delves. Delves is fun, Julie. I absolutely agree with you. Is Blizzard still as deaf to feedback early on in the expansion as when I have played? No. Blizzard actually, at least up until now, they've been listening to people's feedback quite heavily. At least up until now. People don't want to admit, but today's raid concept and mechanics are simply annoying. My guild has many older people and it forces them to play beyond their capabilities. I mean, I would not be surprised if that is the case. Hey, first time on live chat with the man, the myth, the legend, Akalon. Harry boy, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the stream. Very happy to have you here, man. Thank you. Blizzard's doing nice for now. Depends on who you listen to. There's a lot of people very upset at the minute. Dungeons & Dragons is a good example. People don't play for the combat simulations, but for the role-playing and the storytelling with friends. No, Catcore is actually in a purple magical wheelchair. And yes, I am... I burst out laughing when I saw that. Like, it was on stream. Happening in the quest. I didn't immediately notice it. But then I saw Khadgar actually in the purple wheelchair, and I just lost my shit. I was like, dude, this is the most fantasy immersion breaking thing I've ever seen in my life. This is a magical universe where people can be brought back to life. But he's stuck in a wheelchair. What the fuck are we talking about? Like, come on, please. I get that you want to represent people in wheelchairs, but please. People in wheelchairs are playing the game because they can't fucking run around outside. They're not playing the game so that they can see people in wheelchairs. Like, well, dude, the reason I play WoW is because I can't be a warlock IRL. If I could cast spells in real life, I wouldn't be fucking playing WoW. I'd be out casting spells. I can't cast spells in real life, so I play WoW. I can cast spells in WoW. So I'm not entirely sure why they did that. I think it's a blinded quest for inclusion, which I think is not necessary. I think if you actually went around and you asked the overwhelming majority of people stuck in wheelchairs, do you actually want to see people in wheelchairs in your video game? Most of them would probably look at you with an expression of exacerbation, but also a little confusion, as in, huh? I have never actually considered that as a thing. It's sort of like when you ask me, do you really want to see fat people in the video game? I'm like, no, why the fuck would I see that? I don't even want to see fat people IRL. What are you talking about? The reason I go to the gym 4 days a week and I go walking 5 days a week is so that I don't have to look at myself being fat IRL. Why the fuck would I want to see that in a video game? Like, please. Let's not lose our shit here. And I realize there's everyone going to be like, oh, fuck off. No one cares about that. Only the people that sort of think they care about that because they have to care about that because it makes them seem like good people care about that. No one else actually cares about I'm a normal Euro reader, but this is the first time I'm not doing Mythic Plus. I'm getting sick of trying to get into a group, get in, and the first pull and people leave. I also heard that a lot of people apparently leave. I was just being fat phobic. McDonough, but I can be fat phobic because I'm fat. I am fat. So I am allowed to be as fat phobic as I fucking want. Go run, fatty. Stop fucking trying to hide behind. No one can criticize me because I can't see my penis. Shut the fuck up. Go outside, go walk around. I don't want to hear your bullshit. Also, in a fantasy universe, you would have 1,000 other solutions to overcome disabilities or make interesting solutions. True. Dude, they could have literally had him on a magic carpet. Mages have carpets. Like, I would actually not mind if Khadgar was, like, sitting on a magic flying carpet. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Because he can't walk. He's on a magic carpet. Why not? But a fucking wheelchair. Like, come on, please. Angela, how you doing? Akhlon has every right to say this. Of course. I'm fat. How you doing, Angela? I used to be fat. Can I talk shit about them? No, you skinny son of a bitch. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. I know if we started on affixes, I just gave up on hoping for anything engaging that just doesn't flat out punish you. I'm a green gremlin with all the disabilities imaginable. Unless I see a green gremlin with all the disabilities imaginable, I won't feel represented happy. Oh, wait, that's Thrall. I'm happy now. But there you go. You've got it. It's only sitting to appease Archmage Madeira. Mythic Plus issue lies in +7 affix that makes death 3 times more punishing to the timer. So if people die early, they realize they can't finish it in time and they leave to save their time. Dude, okay, so what would you guys suggest is the solution to that? Excuse me. What is the solution to that? Jim Carrey, how you doing, bro? All right, you know what? I will do this for you guys. And only for you guys because you're in the stream. All of you in the stream have a free pass from me to make fat jokes at fat people. I'm fat. I'm allowed to give that pass. You can say whatever the fuck you want. But only to the people in stream. If you're watching the VOD afterwards, fuck you. You should have been here when it was live. You don't get to say that. Less punishing affix and faster clear times. I've been playing super casual and just doing delves. They're more fun. Delves is crazy fun. Right? How you doing? So, Case, I agree with you. There's something on the dungeon side that we can do. But my question would be more... I think there should also be harsher punishments in World of Warcraft for people who do leave dungeons. So it is definitely a 2-tier approach. But I will tell you, even when Mythic Plus was considered easier, you still would sometimes have people that join the group and then just go AFK or just leave the group because they couldn't give two shits. I feel like... Does Deserter buff... is it account-wide or is it literally just on the character that deserted? So here's how I would do it. I would... Someone spoke about MOBAs. So here's how I would do it. The first time you leave a dungeon, you get an Insta report, right? Insta report. And you get pushed for the next 5 dungeons that you do into lower prio queue. What this means is, when you open the group finder, right? So you open the group finder and you look at the groups. The only groups you can see is from other people that are also in the lower group finder to you, right? Also people that have left groups and are now starting their own groups. So you're basically in with the terrible people. If you leave again, so you leave a second time, and we can make this like a 3 to a 6 month timer where the violation stays on your account, right? So the violation stays on your account for 6 months. If you finish your 5, you go back to normal queue and you can sign up and you can do whatever you want to do. But then let's say you do it again. A month later, you leave again for some random thing. Now you go into lower prio queue for 10 dungeons. So for the next 10 dungeons, you're in lower prio queue with all the riffraff. And if you do it a third time in the 6-month window, that is a 1 month. 1 month might be a 1 week ban from Mythic Plus. And not just on the character, on everything. Your entire account. So all of these, by the way, apply to every character you have. So if you're playing on an alt, it's going to apply to your main. A 1 month ban or a 1 week ban on all Mythic Plus. 100% straight through. This, of course, will go with fixing the problems on Mythic Plus that causes people to want to leave. But I feel like that would actually probably solve a lot of the leaver issues. If you leave a dungeon, your character turns into a fat guy in a wheelchair. You can join another group, but you look like that to let people see you have abandoned a group within the last 30. Hey, that would be fine too. This is one issue, Akalon. Since Mythic Plus is not queuable, it's make your own group. Aston, I already addressed that. Remember, to make your own group, you have to go into the group finder. So what you do is, Demon Salad, 2 months part of the Degeneration, appreciate you. Thank you. You're far too kind. What you do is, you automatically, so when you open your group finder, and you can see all of the groups for a specific dungeon that you want to do, right? All of those groups are only from people who are also leavers. So for the next 5 dungeons, you only see people who are fellow leavers make groups, right? That way you solve all of those issues. So it doesn't matter what you do. You are a leaver. And what you can do even worse than that is, even if the person decided by wonder to use trade or general chat to form a group outside of Group Finder, it shows next to their name, leaver. Like, you shame the fuck out of that guy. Atop of his head, as he's running through town, it says leaver, right? Like, everywhere he goes, everyone can see he left a dungeon. Like, you shame the shit out of that guy so that people just become too scared to leave dungeons. And that's just how you play it. Ragaru, how you doing? In a feedback loop, deserters. Yeah, eventually people are going to learn, I don't want to be in the deserter buff group. Automatically, an unkillable NPC spawns and kills him just over and over and over again. Bring back the impact of shame. Akalon 2024. Dude, society has used shame as a mode of shaping action for as long as society has been society. Shame has always been a very good tool. Now, is it true that shame can oftentimes go way too far, and become almost like overused, and almost shame itself becomes the weapon? Yeah, of course. But never underestimate the power of shame. It has some significant life-altering implications. That's fair, because people leave if one person messes up or dies, but Blizzard will not do that. I personally think Blizzard should do that. Ostracization are different things. Debuff could include stack reduction starting at 1%. I like that idea, Akalon. It would work best if they also fix Mythic Plus generally. I really wish there was an actual Mythic difficulty dungeon that works similar to Mythic raids. No timer, challenging enemies, tactics, wipes, and retakes. Isn't that what Plus 10s are about? Do you think Balador may be the primal Naru core like Zera, and all the crystals that make up its final form are scattered all over Azeroth? I'm in hospital at the moment, so your content's keeping me sane. Oh shit, ladies and gentlemen, can we get some hearts in chat for Big Bad Boy? Being in hospital, I will keep you in my prayers, Big Bad Boy. I hope you'll recover quick. And thank you so much for coming to hang out. I really appreciate you. Big Bad Boy, I don't know, actually. The problem is, we've heard so many different people have so many theories about what that crystal is. The Titans, of course, tell us the crystal is Azeroth, or at least the essence of Azeroth. Or me, 40 months part of the Degeneration. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you. Then we have that one leak, well, not a leak, but that share from the Blizzard artist that show it's actually a Naru core. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I kind of like the fact that it's a Naru core more, because if you are going to tell me that that is the essence of Azeroth's, or the calcified essence of Azeroth, my immediate question has to be, why is Azeroth light? What is going on, right? How is Azeroth light? I don't like that, because it suddenly means the light is actually supposed to be our closest ally. Then what was Illidan doing rejecting the light when the light is supposed to be our ally? 100%, right? It could be that it's corrupted by the light. That is obviously another thing. It could be, and I hate to throw this out there, but it could be that the Naru you and I see is world souls claimed by the light. So, I mean, if we go into that theory specifically, I wonder, because, okay, so if we go down that rabbit hole and we say, right, let's imagine for 2 seconds that the Titans are completely not lying about their nonsense. They are truthful. By the way, thanks for the 100 bits. Really appreciate you. And I hear there's a hype train going on Twitch, so thank you so much to all of you for giving money. I appreciate that. So let's say the Titans are not lying. They're absolutely truthful. Everything is happening as it is. They were all world souls once that were claimed by order. So let's imagine that that is how all of the cosmic forces get their generals, so to speak, their leaders. So the old gods are also not actually old gods, or rather not the old gods, the void lords, because the old gods, I think, is more akin to keepers than what they are to titans. But let's say the void lords are also world souls that were claimed from reality and then became void lords. The titans are world souls that were claimed by order, and that's how they became titans, and the eternal ones the same, and so on and so forth. And then at some point, the titans, from what it looks like to me when I read the lore, it looks like the Titans and Death almost certainly won the war, because they seem to be the only ones that can sort of move around freely, because we know that even Death can move freely, at least within the cosmic realms. And Light seems to have formed some kind of alliance, shall we say, with Order and with Death. Life seems to be locked up, so Life probably lost that battle as well. Void seems to be locked up, so they lost the battle. And Disorder, not locked up, but very much kept in check, so they probably lost that battle as well. Also, I would remind you, we've never actually seen a Lord of Chaos, so it is possible that the Lords of Chaos were defeated by the Titans and pushed into some kind of prison. That's why we see the demons acting erratically and doing whatever they do, because what else are they supposed to do? So if we were to go on that, then that means that the Naru are world souls, right? That means that the current battle over Azeroth is nothing more than each of the cosmological forces desperately trying to claim what the Titans call the Prime World Soul. In the most recent, we found that out, right? Not the most recent, 2 weeks ago, the Disc Quest, we found out that Azeroth is indeed considered to be the Prime World Soul. The reason they want the Prime World Soul is because they believe that soul is the soul. The one who claims that soul will be the ultimate victor. This has to then make you ask, or lead you to the question, if what I just said is true, what then is Azeroth? What is Azeroth? What is Argus? What are they? What kind of race are they? Who created them? Because then, clearly, all of the cosmological forces exist sort of as parasites for Azeroth and the ones like her, and they claim from these, so they infect these worlds, and we have evidence of that on Azeroth already, just to be clear. The Manifold. Anyone who listened to that quest line and heard the words Manifold, this giant engine built all around Azeroth, and didn't kind of go, wow, that's mega sus, I feel like was probably not paying attention. You were probably watching some porn on your second monitor, and you weren't quite listening to what was going on, because from my perspective, when they said Manifold, I just got these chills. I just sat there and I was like, what? You're telling me you guys built an entire network of engines and forges around Azeroth, around the core, to examine Azeroth, and I'm supposed to just trust that? I'm supposed to just believe that that's why you did it, right? And you also constructed a giant archway straight to the core of the planet, straight to the heart of the planet. That's mega sus. So this opens the door. What then is Azeroth? Because clearly Azeroth and Argus and those beings are not from the cosmological forces. They exist from somewhere else. Their origins are from someone else. Now, someone asked their ultimate victory for what? The following really is just fan fiction. So we have no evidence of this, but it is me taking things that's been said and putting them together. According to Steve Denuser, I know we're not supposed to speak his name, but according to Steve Denuser, the next patch of WoW may actually be shit now. You're not allowed to say Steve Denuser's name. But according to him, in an interview during Shadowlands, if you take the cosmological map and you zoom out, there's more there. The cosmological map is only a small piece of a much larger puzzle. This suggests that there may actually be an even bigger war happening outside of our immediate cosmos. So the little bit that we know, the great beyond and the war against the cosmos and the cosmological powers, that's just our thing. That is very much localized. But there is a much larger fight that is happening outside of our fight. And the Titans and all of these cosmological forces are working their asses off to get soldiers to fight this bigger fight. Now, the fight could be between, the cosmological forces, or it could be that the cosmological forces are fighting different enemies. That could also be a thing. I realized as soon as I said cosmic powers, a lot of people quit listening, because there are a lot of people that don't want to hear cosmic. I get that. I understand that. But the cosmology is part of World of Warcraft. It's part of the story of World of Warcraft. I don't think we can divorce the cosmology from World of Warcraft. And I also don't believe that the cosmology and the story of cosmological World of Warcraft is automatically a bad thing. I think there are times where that is a bad thing. I think there are times where if you don't pay attention to what you're doing with the cosmological story, you can very quickly ruin a very good story. But I don't think that that's just automatically what happens when you make a story cosmic. There are plenty of examples of stories that are cosmic, that are amazing, and that people really love. The question is just how much effort are you putting in to explain the cosmic story, rather than just sort of brushing over it and not paying attention to what you're doing. And again, I will always bring us back to Shadowlands. You guys know this. I was one of the biggest haters of World of Warcraft during Shadowlands. Even to this day, I believe Shadowlands to be the worst game I have ever played in my life. Not the worst WoW expansion, the worst game I have ever played in my entire life. Now, to be clear, I don't play a lot of horrible games because I do actually pay attention before I just buy games. But it is a terrible game. It's really not good. That, however, does not mean that the lore of Shadowlands was bad. The story, dog shit. The execution of the story, dog shit. The mechanics and the gameplay, dog shit. The lore, good. Really good lore. Really fun lore. How do we know this? We're still making videos using the information we got from Shadowlands. And the information we get from the Shadowlands and the videos that we make from the information we get from the Shadowlands, people love. People enjoy that information. The problem is, how is that information conveyed? The story, the narrative. That's where it broke down. So if you want to do cosmic stuff, you can do cosmic stuff and you can do it really well. But then the question has to be, are you paying attention to the narrative? And I feel like The War Within has had a very good narrative. It seems like the narrative team really stepped up in this expansion. And I feel like if we were to now get some cosmic stuff, it may actually be good. I feel like it may actually be decent if we were to get it now. Debbie, how you doing, by the way? Lithium, how you doing, sir? Bossdom, how you doing? Robotic Unicorn, how you doing? Rob, how are you doing, sir? Kimmy, how are you doing? Total in plain sight. I hate Waters of Draenor gameplay. In Waters of Draenor, I just raided and did dungeons, so I actually enjoyed that. By the way, who have I not said hello to? If I haven't said hello to you yet, I really do apologize. Could the crystal we find Zalata speaking around be part of a Prime Naru Baladar? I think so. Boku, how you doing? Daddy One Child, how you doing, sir? To be frank, Digit, how you doing, sir? They should have done Shadowlands like with War Within now, World Soul Saga. Well, yeah. I mean, I made that point right from the beginning. I even have a video out there somewhere where I explain how Shadowlands could have been done, where I think everyone would have celebrated it. I realize I have many more new viewers now, so I'll just quickly go through it. Here's how I would have done the Shadowlands. First expansion takes place in Northrend. You have the forces of death attacking. We don't know where the hell they come from. None of this makes sense. But there's all sorts of death forces everywhere. We see the Kyrian attacking us. We see the Necrolords attacking us. We see Revendreth attacking us. We see every single... We're just being attacked from all sides. And then we fight our way right into Icecrown Citadel. That's where the expansions, the big finale of the expansion happens. And as we fight our way right up to the top of Icecrown Citadel, we see Sylvanas there trying to kill Bolvar. And we actually try to stop Sylvanas from killing Bolvar, but we fail. Sylvanas wins. She rips open the crown. She breaks the sky, and she leaves. Right? And off she goes. Now, we have to go after her. We have to go find her. From here, I would actually change the entire story of the Shadowlands to what I believe the original story was supposed to be. Once we get into the Shadowlands, we go through the exact same thing. We get there, we find the Maw. The Zuval is this weird nipple dude, but the difference is we've now heard Zuval's name multiple times. We've had an entire expansion where forces have spoken about Zuval, spoken about their master, spoken about what their master has been up to. We have had Zuval's lore and history and the whole lore and history of the Shadowlands drip fed to us for an entire expansion. We get there, we go to Oribos, we see Oribos is broken. We are told that, oh, it was actually Zuval that broke down Oribos, and we have to stop Zuval. So we do the exact same thing. We go through the exact same expansion. The only difference is the Covenant stories aren't locked behind the Covenant that you choose. The Covenants are completely cosmetic. You make your choice purely for the gear, for the cosmetic and the aesthetic, for no other reason. All of the stories, all of the side stories, all of the after stories, they're all available to all players for everything. And we do all of the expansion exactly as it were, without the content route and so on and so forth. I give Odin and Helia's story a lot more power and a lot more reasoning. The only difference is we actually, instead of defeating Helia, we defeat Odin. Because Odin actually starts attacking us. And it becomes clear that Odin and Muazala have some kind of deal that they've made. And Odin is here to help defend that deal, and we kill Odin in the process. Then we get all the way into Zereth Mortis. We're fighting in the sepulcher of the first ones. We're fighting Zuval, and in the final moment, when Zuval is about to be defeated by us, he stops the fight and he shows us the truth. He allows us to see what had actually been transpired, that our world had been captured. Our souls are being used in the eternal forges of these people we called friends, the Primus, the Carestia the Firstborn, the Winter Queen, Denathrius. They've been using us for the fuel in their war forges. And in that moment, we realize we've been fighting the wrong person. Finally, Sylvanas comes up to us and she explains to us that this is why she did what she did. She was trying to break the system. Because this system is what keeps us enslaved. And now, the next expansion, we spend fighting our way back into the Shadowlands, killing each of the Eternal Ones as we go along, with the penultimate, or not the penultimate, the ultimate conclusion of the fight taking place in Oribos, at the top of Oribos, against the Primus. We beat the Primus, defeat the Primus, and then we go back home, because we have finally set things right in the Shadowlands. The souls will once again enter the river Gargua, and from the river Gargua, they will naturally flow to their natural afterlives, because we have defeated and destroyed the Order of the Titans. Now tell me, that would not have been a better expansion than the one we played. Shadowlands is also why Drakthir can't be Death Knights. That would have rocked. I think so. I think that would have been a cool expansion. Oh, I mean, almost anything would have been better, but that would have been the best. I think my problem is that they personified the cosmic forces too much for my taste. They should more do it like forces of nature and get used in corrupt or influence mortals. Niara, how you doing? Sounds more fun. So, Obi-Wan, the cosmological forces have always been personified. So I don't necessarily mind that. Rakan, the problem is the way in which they did the Shadowlands. Even if they did everything correctly, do you guys want to take a guess? What is the biggest issue with the Shadowlands? Outside of lore, outside of story, outside of gameplay. What is the Shadowlands' biggest issue? What is the one thing that the Shadowland did that can never be undone? Torghast. I said no gameplay. Mike. It read on a bunch of lore. Trivialized death. There you go. It made death not matter. That's the biggest mistake of the Shadowlands. Death doesn't matter. And if you don't have death, then what do you have? Macro Gaming, how are you doing? Rakan, how you doing? Ghostfire, how you doing? One Hearts, how you doing? By the way, guys, as you guys chat, I will say hello to you if I haven't already. If I've missed you, please just tell me. Yes, they did also do irreparable damage to Mommy Sylvanas, but, you know, it is what it is. I just hated Torgos, that damn hatch. Duval any grand plan for the cosmos? Wait, oh, you mean our death or in general? In general, Razor Connor, death has become almost like see you later. And death is important. Aquilian, how you doing? Rob, how you doing, sir? Massey, how you doing? Death is important because the thing that scares people about death is the finality of it. The reason almost all people are afraid of death is the finality of it. The fact that it is final. There's, well, unless you're religious like myself, you don't believe in anything happening after that. Or if you're not religious, you don't know if there's anything after that, right? So that scares people. Not knowing what is after that scares people. In my scenario, you still don't really know what's after that because you never get to see where the souls actually go. All you see is what the Titans did to try and stop death and feed off of the souls of the cosmos. But the actual death, what actually happens in death, you have no idea. Not me, not you, no one has any idea because we don't see that. We simply destroy Ouroboros, and then we see the souls go into the River Gargua and off to some unknown place, no one knows where. Right? So what it does is, it still keeps you, the player, as this, well, what happens to us once we die in WoW? Holes and then return? Now we need a better Arthas conclusion. Well, Captain Mexico, in mine, Arthas wouldn't have a conclusion. Arthas would be back, but you wouldn't see Arthas until much, much later. See, in mine, Sylvanas manages to convince Anduin. Anduin doesn't follow her because he's mind-controlled. Anduin realizes what is actually happening. So Anduin is working with them on purpose. And it is Anduin that retrieves Arthas' soul from Zuval with strict orders, by the way, to get the soul to Azeroth. Because Arthas has to be reborn, because Arthas knows the truth. Arthas saw everything. And that's then why Anduin goes on his massive trip. Not because Anduin, is broken or whatever, or has PTSD. No. He needs to bring Arthas back. And the only way for him to bring Arthas back is to go where? Where does he go to bring Arthas back? Primus turning souls into weapons was breaking the true purpose of the realm, and that is what we are here there to fix. Not Undercity, Daniel, no. The Sunwell. He goes back to the Sunwell. That's where he resurrects him. Because that ties into the World Soul Saga. When we, in Midnight, because remember in Midnight we're going to Quel'Thalas. When we reach the Sunwell in Quel'Thalas, we find Anduin busy with a ritual. And when Anduin completes the ritual, out comes Arthas, the boy, that is now a man and badass. You see, what that does is it retcons nothing. All the lore of World of Warcraft is intact. Sylvanas as a character isn't made a blabbering fool that just got played, even though she kept saying, I will never serve. But she serves. Arthas gets the mega respect he deserves and also comes back as a badass. And Zuval, turns out, was right all along. It all just makes so much more sense. Wayne, not that we really know of. No, not really. He helped Illyria in this last one. He's back. He's now in, in the War Within. Just that a silly idea. I can see Anduin wearing the Crown of Wolves with Arthur's soul put inside of it. Like a Lich King situation, but this time with a light theme. Rob, you could probably do something like that as well, but I don't think people would want to see that. I personally, I'm just speaking for myself here, but I would love to have Arthas back in the game. And it turns out Arthas was not actually evil. He was not actually just a bad guy. He truly did want to save Azeroth, and he knew that there was only one way to do it. We had to be united. And yes, Zuval realizes in our fight, he was wrong. We can stand united. He didn't have to turn all of us into mindless scourge. We can stand united. You just need to show us who the enemy is. And that's why he decides to show us the truth of the cosmos. So that we can know who the enemy is and we can be united against that enemy. Remember in Legion Beta, when the whole Valhalla was supposed to have the souls of the dead warriors like Lothar, Grom, etc., but got changed to Odin meme? I don't remember that, but it sounds fine. Just had a silly idea. Okay, no, I read that. He wasn't. Did you remember the humanizing little quest in Alkay? Wait, still had his humanity? Oh yeah, that showed he still had his humanity, or at least a slither of it. That he still had. To be honest, it always irked me that Anduin falls foul of the domination magic, and he's mollycoddled, and they're there because he gets PTSD. Arthas gets done with the domination magic for years and was treated as the ultimate evil. I do agree with that 100%. The rules are not applied equally, and yes, that pisses me off as well. Like 100% pisses me off. But okay, I think we do have to talk about something else, ladies and gentlemen. Big Bad Boy, take care of yourself. Thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it may surprise none of you, especially those of you that are on Twitter. If you've been on Twitter for any amount of time, you will know that there is one thing that WoW Twitter is good for. And no, it's not lore. No, it's not celebrating the game. It's drama. There is new drama in the WoW Twitter community every single day. Every single week. There's something happening somewhere. It's either some guy and some girl that broke up and now they're being incredibly toxic and telling all of their friends to be incredibly toxic. Or it's some guy that sent some girl a dick pic, or some girl that flirted with some guy that was in a relationship. There's always something happening in the WoW community. Always something happening in the WoW Twitter community. But recently, and when I say recently, I do mean for the last 24, maybe 48 hours, WoW Twitter has been an absolute dumpster fire. An absolute dumpster fire. This is probably the worst I've seen it yet. And it all stems from a tiny little thing, really not that big of a deal. It's the Longboy mount that Blizzard decided, and this baffles me that this decision was taken, to make the mount available for cash purchase for $90. $90. Now, there's two schools on this issue, as you can imagine. There are those that are absolutely livid at the sale of this mount for various reasons, because even there, some people are just livid at the price. They think, and I would agree, $90 for a mount is absolutely, it's bonkers. The fact that people are even paying that is ridiculous to me. $90 for a mount, dude. You can buy 3 AA games for the price of that mount. You can pay, what is it, 6-7 months worth of subscriptions, 6 months worth of subscriptions with that, for less than that, actually. It is ridiculous. The mount is just absolutely ridiculous. It's 60 pounds. It's $90. When I said $90, I didn't say pounds. I wouldn't think in pounds. Not on this. It's $90, 60 or 70 pounds, and then 130 something Canadian dollars. It is fucking ridiculous. Is basically the point I'm trying to get to. It's absolutely insane that is the price that they charge for it. But then there's the people that obviously defends this, right? There's the people that think there's nothing wrong with this. Who cares even? It's just the mount, right? And there's a lot of people that say they were wanting this as a mount. They were asking Blizzard to make this a cash shop purchase because they didn't have the opportunity to buy it when it was current. Now, that doesn't surprise me as someone that has basically been against every single cash shop mount in the history of World of Warcraft ever, because I think it's greedy, and this continues that trend. I'll explain to you why. It continues the trend that Blizzard set during Shadowlands. The game is currently not in the best place. There's a lot of people very upset about the game. The newest patch launches with a lot of bugs and a lot of issues. Clearly, things aren't going swimmingly. But there's enough time to release a $90 mount. Now, from my perspective, it comes across as tone deaf. Like, you're just completely tone deaf. You're not paying attention to what the players are complaining about, but you're still willing to make a lot of money, right? I think for a lot of people that's a problem, for myself included. My biggest issue, however, with it isn't even the fact that it's a cash shop mount. Because I think a lot of people are finding it incredibly difficult to understand why some people might be upset about this. So allow me to explain. You have two groups of people effectively, and you will find yourself in one of these two groups. The first group are the people that couldn't get the mount during BFA, and so they've been asking for the mount to be a cash shop purchase. The second group are the people who grinded and farmed their asses off for the mount at the promise that this was a timed exclusive. That once the mount is gone, the mount is gone. You won't be able to get it again. Now, you have to ask yourself, right, if you were in that, and holy crap, Death sounds lovely. Thank you so much for the 5 community subs. Really appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, we get some hearts in chat. We get some hearts in chat. That is far too kind, sir. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you for a second, even if you are someone that doesn't care about this mount, put yourself in the position of someone that spent the last month and a half of the BFA journey farming themselves to death, selling everything they could get their hands on, working that auction house, doing every world quest they could find, everything in order to purchase this mount for what was at the time basically gold cap, right? People went out of their way to try and get this mount. And then to suddenly turn around and realize, dude, I could literally just have waited. There was no reason for me to farm like this. There was no reason for me to work like this. Why would I even do this? It's about trust, and it's about what does your word mean? When you make a promise and you say something, are you sticking to that promise, or are all your promises basically willy-nilly applied and then rescinded no matter what? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Because what happens now is the next time Blizzard releases one of these mounts, where it is supposed to be a timed exclusive, how many people are going to buy that? How many people are going to just go, they'll bring it as a cash shop mount eventually. I don't even have to worry about it. So it loses all of its prestige. All of your promises start meaning nothing because you keep changing the rules. You said that this will be a timed exclusive mount. If you miss it, it's gone. And now you lied. Because that's as simple as it is, ladies and gentlemen. You lied. Blizzard lied to the players that farmed their asses off for this mount the first time around. So I fully understand why people are so angry. I fully understand why people are so upset about this, because it's not the first time Blizzard has done this. This is now becoming a trend. First, we saw it with the TCG mounts. These were supposed to be exclusive to TCG. If you couldn't get it when TCG existed, you never had it. It was something that only the people that found it in the card packs would ever be able to strut around with, because they were the ones who went out and bought all of these cards. It was theirs, right? It was some kind of, it was a level of prestige thing. I have this. Look at me. Look how cool I am. And then that got taken away because it just got added to the cash shop. So who cares? And now you have this. Now, you really want to do a kick in the teeth. Blizzard adds this to trading tenders. I think that will be the moment where people just sort of go, well, fuck it. And if cash shop mounts are to be trusted, it will eventually go to trader tenders. It might be 2,000 or 3,000 tenders, but it's still going to go to trading tenders, which means you have to even ask yourself more questions about what even is the point of me grinding for anything. William, okay, so we're arguing semantics, in other words. So basically what this would mean is I ask my girlfriend to be my girlfriend, and then I cheat on her, and she goes, dude, what the fuck? And I said, hey, I never said I won't cheat. I just asked you to be my girlfriend. At no point did I promise you I won't sleep with other girls. It's sort of baked into the process. When you make a mount and you say this is going to be a timed exclusive, right? So this is an exclusive mount. Once it's done, you won't get it again. There is an assumption of a promise that, because people say you can't repair, you just get the mailbox. What is the main reason for wanting that mount? What is the main reason why people wanted that mount? Was it to repair? Mike, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. It's the AH. It's the AH. That's literally the only reason people wanted the AH. People didn't care about the repair. You have a repair mount. I have the repair mount that you could buy in the game for 20,000 gold. Right? I have both, actually. I have the Mammoth and the Yak. Right? The AH is why it's there. Now, if Blizzard released this and it was the Brutosaur, but no AH, just a repair and a mailbox, that I think no one would really care about. Because, okay, cool, it's the Brutosaur, but who gives a shit, right? It's just, yeah, it's a cool mount, but let's be real, very few people use that mount as their daily driver. So people wouldn't have given a shit. It's the fact that the AH is on that mount, and the whole reason people were paying 5 million gold for it at the time in BFA was to get that AH. And now you're giving it away for $90. It's just a bad decision. It's important to keep that in mind. The mount was added as a gold sink. Many people had that much gold already. Someone, you're making wild assumptions based on nothing other than a wild assumption. Like, that is a wild assumption, sir. Very wild assumption. And Jason, I realize you're not going to hear what I have to say right now because you're probably watching in the past. But are you seriously asking me if I try to seriously compare current WoW to Shadowlands? Yes, that's exactly what I was doing. If, of course, you ignore all of the fucking sentences I said before and after the word Shadowlands. If all you listened to was WoW and Shadowlands, then absolutely that's exactly what I said. Except, of course, for the fact that I didn't say that at all. So when you get to this point, Jason, rewind and go listen again to what I'm saying. And the point that I'm making, there was no comparison anywhere. Fucking wild, bro. You know what's the most ridiculous thing on this planet? There are two phrases in this world. Two phrases in this world that you just know that what is about to follow is an absolute lie. Like, just absolutely fucking made up. The first is, he basically said. Whenever you read, he basically said, you know that everything that comes after that is just complete lie. He never said anything like that. Anything. Nothing that is said after that, those words, is what was actually said. And the other one is when people say, so you're saying. As soon as someone says, so you're saying, you know that everything that follows is not at all what you fucking said. Not even close. It's the two most triggering phrases in the history of the world. Because it's basically used to lie through your asshole. Where was I about the mount shit? You're the problem with what you're doing. I think it was Thumb1 that said it, but Thumb1, if I'm not, whoever spoke about the gold sink, the idea, right, that it was a gold sink, and the idea that thousands, if not millions of players were actively farming their assholes off to get the mount are not mutually exclusive. You saying, well, actually, it just existed as a gold sink, does not mean that there weren't also a bunch of people farming their asses off in order to desperately try and get this mount that was sold as an exclusive, timed. Once it's gone forever. So to use that as an argument, it's not an argument. You're not refuting anything I am saying. You're just saying, well, bro, actually it was a gold sink. A lot of people already had that amount of gold. Yeah, but not everyone. There were still thousands of people. How do I know this? Because I saw it every single day. People tweeting out, this is day 25 of farming. I almost have enough. I'm still going. Can anyone give me tips on how to make even more gold? Twitter was full of people just constantly telling us how many days they've been going and they're almost there and this is the amount of gold they have now and they're still going to get there. People were going shit. And then when it finally got cancelled, there were shit tons of posts about people going, I had 4.5 million. I just needed 500,000 more. It was nuts, the amount of posts that existed from people angry once it got cancelled. And then, when it came into existence. So, yeah, and Kimmy, you're actually not wrong. When Blizzard announced the mount for 5 million, there were people super angry because who the fuck has 5 million? And then they started no-lifing to get to 5 million. So the idea that this is a mutually exclusive problem, no, it wasn't. Then it got moved, and the new one is until January 9th. Again, doesn't matter, right? The point is, there was a promise made. Right? There was a promise made. This was a timed exclusive mount. If I tell you, right? If I come to you and I say, hey, I have this car, right? I have a car, and this car is exclusive. There's only 300 of them in the world. And you have to jump over this mountain, ski down this slope of lava with no pants on, and do all of this shit, and then you can get the car. And you go through all of that shit, and you finally get the car. And then 2 years later, you see everyone driving around with this car, and you come to me and go, what the fuck, bro? I bought this car with blood, sweat, and tears. My testicles are still somewhere up on Mount Everest because that's where they froze off. And now everyone has this car? And I go, well, bro, I mean, it's not quite the same. It has a different exhaust. I changed the exhaust slightly, right? I still fucking lied to you, right? I told you this is an exclusive, and now I just went, nah, screw it. I'm not going to make it exclusive. I'm going to give it to everyone. It's the same thing, right? It's exactly the same thing. But we understand it when it comes to something like a car. If you're going to make a promise with some physical thing, and then suddenly you renege on that promise, people fully understand this, and they can link it. But the second it goes to WoW mounts, people are just like, no, it doesn't matter. Even though it's exactly the same thing. I'll just wait till it goes to the trader for 10 days. This is probably going to go to the trader for 10 days. I understand that there are two groups. That one group doesn't care because they didn't get it during BFA, and they desperately want it and wanted it, and now they finally have the opportunity to get it. I understand that, right? And I feel like there is probably an argument to be made for that, but then I would say the best way to ensure that never happens again is Blizzard needs to stop doing timed exclusives. Stop making things that's exclusive if you know that you're not going to honor your word. Don't tell people this is an exclusive mount if you know that you don't understand the meaning of the word exclusive. The meaning of the word exclusive means that it is one of a kind. It's rare. If suddenly everyone has it, then it's not rare. If you're suddenly making it available for everyone, then it's not rare. It's just normal. It's just ordinary. Just like the mount off for the anniversary, she pulled out a vanilla mount that you can no longer get in game. True, I totally agree with that. Blizzard runs exclusively on FOMO these days. You can't say Blizzard runs exclusively on FOMO these days. Blizzard doesn't know what exclusively means. Choose a different word, a better one that's easier to understand. They won't follow that. They will never admit is the same mount. The exhaust will make the difference for Blizzard. The green one will always be rare. No, it won't always be rare. It's not rare. It's the same mount now. Really? We're gonna argue about a recolor? Let me ask then. How many people bought the mount because it was green? Of all the things, so let's go down the list. The mount is green. It's a Brutosaur. It has an AH on it, and it has a repair vendor on it. Of all of those things that the mount has, what was the main reason for people buying it? Talking about the original mount. The original mount. What was the main reason people bought it? AH. AH. That's why everyone bought it. Because It's the first and only mount in the game that has an AH. So stop trying to argue semantics here. Please. If you're going to be honest, at least just say, bro, I don't give a shit what Blizzard does. No matter what Blizzard does, I'm fine with it. As long as I can play World of Warcraft, I couldn't care less. That's fine. You're being honest, I respect that. But don't try and defend Blizzard with semantics. Oh, well, this one is green, though. Well, this one isn't green. Yeah, people didn't buy it because it's green. What are we arguing about? That's not why people bought it. No, but this one is slightly bigger or slightly smaller. Well, this one actually has a mailbox and not a repair vendor. Yeah, people didn't buy it for the fucking repair vendor. No one could give two shits about the repair vendor. People bought it for the mailbox. The fact that it has a mailbox on it is why people are angry, because the mailbox was supposed to be exclusive to that mount, and the mount was exclusive because of the mailbox, because of the AH. Trying to change the reasons for why this isn't bad doesn't speak to the core of the problem, as I've already explained. If this mount launched and had a repair vendor and a mailbox on it, no one would care. Not a single person would even bat an eyelid. It's a repair vendor and a mailbox. Who gives a shit? The fact that it has an AH on it, that's the problem. Z, I'm not angry. Just to be very clear, even if this mount was free, I would not claim it. Even if this mount was $1, I wouldn't give a shit. I'm not angry. I don't collect mounts in World of Warcraft. I couldn't give two shits about any collector item in World of Warcraft. I don't collect armor. I don't collect pets. I don't collect mounts. I don't care. If Blizzard removed all armor, all weapons, all mounts, all pets from the game tomorrow, it would unironically be a good thing for me. I would actually think, hey, that's pretty decent, actually. Let's go for that. It would probably make the game better, in my opinion. Because I hate the fact that my bags are full of this shit that I constantly have to disenchant. So I would be very happy if all of that shit went away. So I couldn't care less about any of this. The reason I care is because of the principle. There is a principle that was betrayed in this transaction. And that is what gets me. Everything else I couldn't give the shits about. KK, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. And Robotic Unicorn with the 5 community subs. Can we get some hearts in chat? Some hearts in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate the 5 community subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel it's important because we live and die by the value of our word. If I tell you I'm going to do something and I don't do it, you're going to trust me a little bit less next time. And if I keep doing this, you're going to lose even more trust till eventually there is no trust left. And I don't want to live in that world, because that world gets really dark really quickly, right? And we're already basically there, because the next mount that Blizzard comes with that they try to FOMO people into playing and getting gold for, a lot of people are not going to fall for that. A lot of people are just going to be like, bro, they'll release it on the cash shop later. It's fine, right? Because they now know. Who gives a shit? So that's what I care about. I couldn't give two shits about the actuality of the mount. No, Z, I already explained this. You cannot use, while they didn't technically promise that they will never add anything like this into the game ever again. That wasn't technically their promise. Would be me asking a girl out. She says yes. We get married. And then I fuck another girl. And she goes, bro, what the fuck? And I go, hey, I never actually said I won't sleep with other girls. Like, those words didn't actually come out of my mouth. And she goes, yeah, but that's implied by the whole fucking ring and marriage thing. It's implied. When I say this is an exclusive mount, and at the time, go back, look at the advertising, Blizzard wasn't advertising that this is a mount that can repair. Blizzard was advertising that this is a mount with an AH on it. That was the hook. And it was exclusive. Exclusive means rare. Exclusive means this is a one-of-a-kind item. So the promise is implied. You don't have to say in so many words, right? We'll never make something else like this again. The fact that I said this is exclusive takes care of that. Most people accept, so this is a one-of-a-kind item. It's never going to be around again. I really need to work hard to get it. This is why I said, if Blizzard wants to avoid situations like this in the future, they need to stop making timed exclusive items. Stop with the FOMO bullshit. Stop putting stuff into the game for FOMO that you're only going to put to the cash shop a year or two later, right? That's the easiest way to get rid of this. Kissy, how you doing? Firex, how you doing? Senroth, how you doing? Okay, yes, I was unaware it was announced exclusive. If they said anything along the lines, then yes, I agree. Would you think it would be fine if they added a completely new mount with Auction House, but achievable in-game? If you want to do something like that, right, it has to be on the level and as difficult to get as the original, right? Okay, I don't do Afrikaans streams because I don't think there's that big of an Afrikaans community, at least my community. If I go into my analytics and I look at my South African following, it's less than 1%. Overwhelmingly, I have Americans as my main audience is American by a huge margin. It's more than 30% of my audience is American. I think it's actually more than 40% of my audience is American. Surf with the sub, dude. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the most degenerate chat on Twitch. Thank you. So, you know, I mean, it's like, I think England or the United Kingdoms is second. Then it's Australia, New Zealand, Norway, I think. Then, it's weird. I'd have to check. Roll, how you doing, sir? I could quickly check it. Hold up, let me just see. Audience. Here we go. So top geographies is the United States with 39.5%, the United Kingdom with 6%, Germany in here with 5.8%, Canada with 4.7%, Sweden with 3.4%, Australia with 3.1%, Poland with 2.3%. Norway's really dropped off. Netherlands with 2.2%, Norway with 1.8%, Romania with 1.6%, Denmark with 1.5%, then Czech, Bulgaria, Brazil, Finland, Serbia, Hungary, Austria, France, Portugal, Greece, Belgium, Spain, Croatia, Slovakia, Switzerland, and then South Africa with 0.3%. Second South, thanks for the follow, sir. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense for me to do an Afrikaans stream, considering most of my audience would have no idea what I'm actually talking about. 0.3, we'll take it. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know. But I don't mind speaking Afrikaans if someone wants to ask me something in Afrikaans. I'll answer it. You could make a stream with Texan accent, yeah, but I can't do the Texan accent. Morning from Canada. Love your YouTube content. Glad to catch you live. Second South. Very happy to have you here. Thank you. You're far too kind, sir. Love the one poem you told us that one time. Oh, yeah. What is a kilometer? A kilometer is the only acceptable way to measure distance. That's a kilometer. Love your storytelling. I'm in the USA. Nightmares Adventures. How you doing? Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. I'm very happy to have all of you here. It's 1,000 meters. True. A kilometer is 1,000 meters. 1 kilometer is 0.6 miles. Get out of here with your fucking freedom units. No one cares. The only reason I want to move to the US, actually, there's a couple of other reasons, but one of the main reasons I want to move to the US is to fix the US so that they all start using the normal measurements, and then I can come home, because then life's great. I use hot dogs to measure. See, you're not alone. How many school buses a kilometer? No fucking idea. At least there are the conversions. They should have made a mount with access to profession crafting tables instead. That would have been worth it. Jason, yeah, I could actually see that. I mean, I think the biggest problem, if we want to be like, if we want to be honest about it, I really do believe the biggest problem is the AH. If they made a mount with anything else, like, yes, profession vendors could have actually been cool, or profession table would actually have been cool. I think most people wouldn't have given a shit. It's the fact that it's the AH. That's the thing that pisses most people off. There's 0 metric size screws on the moon. Freedom units for the win. As far as I know, I think you guys measure screws in metric, no? Or do you not? Dude, I think a profession mount would make people jump for joy. Like, I think, and then what you're doing is you're keeping the exclusivity of the Brutosaur mount exclusive, and you have this completely unique new mount that people can actually pay for. I think people would have loved that. I can do all things metric except weather. I can't do the only thing I know in metric is my height. Not in metric. The only thing I know in freedom units is my height. Everything else I have to use the metric for. And Kissy, what do you use then for your weather? Matumba, how you doing, sir? A measurement system was made by drunken lobsters. I will across the pond, but we haven't shaken off old habits. How much more do you think they can piss people off? Do you think people still would play if they added real money loot boxes or NFTs? How much goodwill have they left? That is a very difficult question to answer, because the way goodwill works is, the best example I have is Ubisoft. Ubisoft for absolute years completely fleeced and destroyed their audiences. They completely went balls to the wall with every sort of disgusting monetization you can imagine. And it took years for Ubisoft to now be in the position that it is in, where Star Wars, now please understand this, Star Wars, dude, it is a criminal offense that you launch a Star Wars game and it cannot even sell 1 million copies in the first month. That is criminal. You have a game like Mana Lords, that sold, what was it, something like 12 million copies in the first 3 days. You have Pal World that in the first week sold over 25 million copies. Star Wars, 1 million copies in a single month is criminal. That takes time. It takes years. But here's the problem with keeping the goodwill bank at 0. So in other words, you're continuously fucking up and using the goodwill of players to pay yourself back. Once it's at empty, the decline is slow. You barely see it, and then it suddenly happens. And the problem is, by the time you realize that it's over, there's no way of saving it. It's over. Players have given up. They've left. So I can't answer that question. If you're asking me how many more Brutosaur mounts will it take before players finally give up on Blizzard, I can't answer that. It might never happen, right? It may not be a big enough problem that most people don't even give a shit about it. But if it is a big enough problem that enough people care about it, it can be the next Brutosaur mount, or it can be 10 Brutosaur mounts from now. But if it is a big enough problem, it will eventually just be one Brutosaur mount and the next day people unsub en masse, right? And when I say Brutosaur mount, I mean it can be something like a Brutosaur. It doesn't have to be a mount, but it will be something akin to this, and that may be the moment that people just go, that's enough. I've had enough. Thank you. I'm done. And I think I didn't really speak about this when we covered it, but I think the biggest reason why people are so angry, because you have to think about this. Almost no one got angry during Dragonflight. If you guys remember Dragonflight, Blizzard did a couple of store mounts in Dragonflight, and I didn't even get angry. And I remember someone asked me, why do you no longer make videos when Blizzard do cash up mounts? Someone accused me actually of just wanting the clicks. So when WoW was struggling and Blizzard were releasing these mounts, I would make the videos for clicks. But now that WoW's doing well, I don't want to make the videos for clicks. And I said to them, well, I don't actually mind cash shops when Blizzard does their job and make a good game. If the game is doing well, the game is in a good position, and Blizzard wants to make cash shop mounts, fucking go for it. I said this from the beginning, right? Like, get the bag. If people want to pay you for mounts, okay, cool, I don't care. I think the main thing that makes this Brutosaur mount extra bad, because it's already bad, but what makes it extra bad is the fact that the expansion is currently struggling. And I don't mean in player numbers. I think there's still millions of people playing. I mean, a lot of people are angry about the balance. A lot of people are angry about the new patch, also buggy and just the kind of mess. So I think that makes it worse. Or am I wrong? Do you guys think that I'm just wrong about that? No, it is too much. You're right. Exonavi, how you doing? I think the one that they're not struggling with, unironically, is the one that they also don't seem to give a shit about. And that's StarCraft. Apparently, Blizzard just did another big patch for StarCraft, and people are actually super happy with this new patch. So, unironically, the one IP that Blizzard doesn't want to make content for is the one IP that no one is angry about. I think it's StarCraft 2. Don't quote me on this. I just saw a Reddit post with them celebrating a new StarCraft patch, and it's apparently a very nice patch, but I've no fucking idea. I know that they do StarCraft patches because every once in a while my StarCraft will update. But I don't really. I finished the story for StarCraft and I've never done the multiplayer stuff, so I don't really know. It is a very good patch. Well, there you go. Sith says it is a very good patch. You StarCraft lads can talk about why. I don't know why it would be a good patch. The moment Invincible gets added to the store or for tenders will be Talon. I'd be pissed, not gonna lie. Thorcad, I wonder why that's never been added to the store. Of all the mounts, I feel like Invincible would probably be a mega seller. I buy drugs by the gram. Jason, I respect that. I like the new X pack for the most part, but what I dislike is how Blizzard empowers players to be bullies because not everyone can buy a $90 mount. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let me guess, you're talking about the new Age mount? Hold on, Sound. I finished talking about it. I'm just sort of dealing with the aftermath of talking about it. Because if they add it, you wouldn't be able to see it. Horrible advertising. Oh, man. How many years on that's still the joke? Invincible is gorgeous in-game now. They raced it so nicely. The only thing to finish my thought, the only thing I do in Freedom units, or not do in Freedom units, but the only thing I know in Freedom units is my height. Everything else I am completely lost if you try to give me anything in Freedom units. The other day I followed a recipe, and the recipe was in ounces, and I was just like, dude, I can't follow this. I don't know how the fuck... I have no frame of reference for what an ounce would be. so I couldn't follow it. I just know I'm 6'1" in terms of height. If you told me you were 5'9", I'd have a blank expression on my face because I'd be like, oh, that's a height. If you told me you're 5'1", I would be like, that's also a height, I'm sure. I have no reference for what that would be. I just know that it's a height. 1 bag of weed, 1 ounce. That's unusual, even in the US. We're usually doing fractions of a cup. Oh yeah, like a quarter cup. An inch is about a finger joint. Funny thing, almost all stuff in the US has the metric measures on them as well. I know this because there's the shop close to me sells what's it called? Oh fuck. It's a drink you guys love. You guys drink it a lot. Dr. Pepper. Yes, that's the one. It's a drink that they sell Dr. Pepper, and I drank it, and I did not like it. I can show you guys. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, according to you, my viewers, so I drank this. I wanted to turn it into a short, and then I lost interest halfway through. This is my this is Dr. Pepper. But they sell it, and on the can it goes ounces and then also gram or milliliters. But according to you, this is one of the more popular drinks. They didn't have the normal one. They just had this one. My brother had a little bit. This is the weirdest thing. Before I did the video, my brother asked if he could have some. So I opened it. I gave him a little bit. He loves it. He thinks it's amazing. I do not think that it's amazing. Now, personally, spoiler alert. I had Dr. Pepper before, years ago when I was a child. Absolutely despised it. I saw it in the store just now. If you need any sort of evidence that this is from the US, ounces is not used in South Africa, so it must be from... And high fructose corn syrup is also not used in South African drinks, so it must be American. I'm already a little concerned because it says cherry naturally and artificially flavored. Those seem to be a contradiction. It's either artificial or natural, but then again, the Americans do their own thing. So, I did not enjoy this, spoiler alert. I did not fucking enjoy this. This was not a good taste. Oh. Yeah, it tastes like fucking medicine. Oh, this tastes like medicine. Like, I did not enjoy it, bro. I threw the whole thing away. I was like, fuck this. My brother didn't want more because he didn't want more sugar. But I threw it away. I was like, I cannot do this. I don't know why you guys are drinking this. This is disgusting. Pretty much. Yeah, I fucking made it. It was cold. Yes. I think I'm not used to the taste. I think the taste is so unique because it's unlike anything we have here. The closest I could probably put it to in terms of taste would be, I don't know if we still have that drink here, but it was a popular drink at one point in time, was Iron Brew. Like I would say Iron Brew had like, it's probably the closest, and I never liked Iron Brew. So I'm not a Dr. Pepper fan. American version of most junk food is riddled with way more sugar, corn syrup. Yeah, we don't do corn syrup. So, for example, here, some supermarkets will sell corn syrup. Some. But then it's usually like a small little bottle, like a 500 ml bottle, like this big, with corn syrup, and it says from the United States on it. We just use normal cane sugar. If you need anything, you just use normal cane sugar and you're done with it. I've never even seen a recipe that calls for corn syrup. McDonald's is good. I don't eat McDonald's, or at least I haven't in a very long time. But McDonald's is decent. I'd say it's probably the same as everywhere else, really. I don't really know. My favorite drink, KK, so it used to be Pepsi Max. So I used to be a huge Pepsi Max fan. I stopped drinking soda, let's say 2 or 3 months ago. I quit soda entirely. And since then, I don't really drink anything. Like, I drink water most of the time or coffee. But I did find... there's the boxes down here. Hold up. Let me see if I can just get it over to where I can reach it. I did find this drink, which is pretty decent. This. So this is... I don't know if you guys can see there. It's like peach flavored rooibos iced tea. So I'll drink this, but like one bottle will last me, or one box rather, will last me probably like a month and a half or something. Because I'll have like on like maybe a Saturday, I'll have one glass, just like a treat. Not really, Obi-Wan. In terms of sugar, it's... So in terms of kilojoules, it has 76 kilojoules per serving. Oh no, 152 per serving. That's the... I don't know if you guys can see that. It looks like it's a bit washed out. So it doesn't have... It's not sweet. It is sweet-ish. Is the best I can explain it. Kilojoules, now we're talking. In order to avoid calories, just drink carbonated water. Oh yeah, it's not so much... I don't mind, like on a Saturday, I'll cheat a bit and I'll eat something, right? So I'll either make my own pizza or I'll go to friends, because I'm usually on Saturday nights, I like tomorrow night I'm going to a restaurant with a friend of mine. I'm picking her up from the airport, and then we're going for dinner afterwards. So I'll always be doing something on a Saturday evening. So on Saturdays, I generally call it my cheat day, where I only eat once a day. So on the meal that I'll eat that day, I'll have whatever. And then I may have a glass of like that. But yeah, I used to drink probably 2 liters of Pepsi Max per day. No, she's not my girlfriend. She's just afraid. The only time I drank Pepsi Max was at boiling in middle school. I never drank it again because when I went to eat soup, I could barely stop my hand from shaking to get the broth in my mouth. Wait, what do you mean at boiling? What does that mean? How's your bean juice store going? Still going, still in the planning phases. I'm working at the restaurant again tomorrow. So I'll be cutting onions and green peppers and shit again, because knife skills are apparently important for a chef. So yeah, it's still going. I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I actually enjoy working in a restaurant. I definitely don't enjoy working for no pay. Because whenever I'm at the store, I know why I'm there. I literally just want to learn if this is what I like. But whenever I'm there, I think, man, I could have been making videos. I could have live streamed. I could have done a million other things that would actually pay me money rather than stand here and cut onions. And then for the next fucking week, my hand smells of onion. Because why not? Energy drinks are so bad for you, though. Like, fuck. How many school buses a kilojoule? Exactly 4. Why would I use gloves? Look, the gloves thing is a very American and European thing. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. The whole cooking with gloves is a very European American thing. It isn't done here. But people here don't cook with gloves. They cook with bare hands. It's just bare hands, do your thing. No one's wearing like fucking surgical gloves to cut shit or to make food. Isn't it European? Yeah, you just wash your hands. It's obnoxious how much you have to wash your hands, but you wash your hands and then you just make the food. Eugenia's, how you doing? Bare hands make it taste better. You can use normal human hands. You don't have to use bare hands specifically, but sure. Food service standards. No, we don't do this in the EU. When it goes into heat, it's not used also. When there's Indian street food, washing hands is better than gloves coming from a nurse. Oh yeah, I can see that. Gloves still don't stop contamination. The problem with gloves is the gloves will now just be as dirty as your hands, depending on what you do with them. Right? Because once you've washed your hands are clean. You can now touch the food. If you touch surfaces, there's going to be bacteria that transfer to your hands and then transfer to the food. But if you have the gloves on and you touch surfaces, those exact same fucking bacteria is going to transfer to the food. So it doesn't make a difference. I don't see why that makes food safer. I genuinely don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. You can trust people to wash their hands. Dean, I know the restaurant that I'm in, for example, like if I go outside for even a second, as soon as I step foot back in the kitchen, the chef's like, wash your hands. If I'm done cutting onions, I have to wash my hands before I do, like, for example, chicken. The only thing you can keep doing is vegetables. But you have, like, I have this net over my hair, net over my beard. You have to be super clean. But I feel like Superman with gloves on. It's not about safety. It's about your hands not smelling like onions for a week. Well, there I would actually say the gloves are probably not bad. Also, I would say a little bacteria never killed anyone. Just to throw that out there. You know, I think people should just stop being little bitches. Like, dude, everyone fucking knows. Everyone knows the best food you can eat is from that highly questionable fucking shop where you kind of walk into it and you go, I might die eating this. That's the food you want. That's the best food you get. SM Twisted, how you doing, sir? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. Welcome back, rather, I should say. How you doing, sir? Micrograms on Betania is super toxic, bro. What? I don't know what that means. What's that word? I guess you use gloves because of allergies. Like new glove, each new thing you touch instead of being careful. Bacteria don't kill you unless it's bacteria from chicken. True. Based of Sweden, how you doing, sir? Botulism. Oh, I get what you mean now. We turned the WoW stream into cooking. Well, we're at the end of the stream, so you know we always talk about nonsense at the end of the stream. That's just how it goes. Botulism comes from what again? There are cauldrons that have been boiling for days to years on end. They just keep adding to the broth. Man, that must be tasty. I don't know why you was not on my follow. Oh well, got you back now. Hey, I'm happy to have you back, sir. I'm happy to have you back. I will say it's been a sort of rolling problem. I've had a ton of people messaging me saying that they get unsub from my YouTube or unsub from my Twitch just randomly. But I also know that there's just a bunch of people that are unsubbing because I keep pissing them off. Because I keep saying not the right things. So, you know, here we are. If your chicken is soaked in botulism, wearing gloves isn't going to protect your customers from dying. How do you get botulism again? How does botulism even end up in a chicken? CC, how you doing, bro? This is cauldron still to this day. The chicken teriyaki is awesome with age. I wear gloves when we portion and prep meat from the store for freezing and storage. My best contamination experience was in a buffet with some kids sneezing over the dishes. No, my best one was actually... Oh, man. A few years ago, my friend invites me and a couple of other friends over for dinner, and his girlfriend is the one cooking. And I arrive about 10 minutes early, as is my nature. I always arrive early. I don't like being late. So I get there, and she's still cooking the food. And I sit at the dining room table, just sort of keeping them company because he's busy getting drinks, I think, and she's making the food. And she takes the spoon right, with which she is making the food. Remember, she's not just cooking for him and her, she's cooking for everyone that's coming. She puts the spoon into the pot, puts the entire spoon into her mouth to taste, I guess, takes that exact same spoon back into the pot, swirling it around, then another spoon in another pot, takes it out, takes her finger, wipes it off, whole finger in her, and I'm just looking at this and I'm going, dude, I'm eating spit. I'm getting this girl. I may as well just French kiss this fucking broad at the minute, because her spit is everywhere. Someone 23 months part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Far too kind. I remember just sitting there thinking, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to eat this. I'm gonna get her spit in my mouth, and I didn't even find her attractive. If she was attractive, it would be a different story. But I did not find her attractive. So it was just this thing of, come on, man. I don't want to fucking... Why do you do this? Why are you doing this? Some people, I think, just don't care. If you call her out, no, I'm in their house. I'm not going to call them out. Not on something like that. Someone's once making me tea, and I saw them lick the spoon. Dude, I'm so fucking careful. Last weekend, I'm making stew for like 6 or 7 people. Because everyone at church knows that I cook, right? I'm a pretty good cook. And so they wanted me to make stew. So I spent the entire Friday making stew. I'm so careful that when I want to taste, I'll take a spoon, put it into the dish, right? So get a bit of the sauce, and then I'll throw it onto my hand and eat it off my hand, go wash my hand again, just to make sure that I don't at any point accidentally take that same spoon again and stick it into the stew. Because I want to be sure that if you're eating this food, you're not getting like fucking half of my DNA alongside it. That's how I cook for other people. So when I see people just not giving a shit, that really freaks me out. Because I don't know why you would do this. Double dipping veggies or chips and dip everyone has to use. Oh. Dude. Okay, I'm going to freak a lot of you out now. A lot of you will never again eat dip collectively. They did an analysis on chip dip. So you know the sauce that people dip their chips in. After half an hour of the sauce standing out amongst a group of people just eating chips, what they found was that I think almost it's something, it's like 5% of the entire dip is now spit. And that's after half an hour. Just spit. So you're dipping after after 10 minutes, you're basically dipping your chips in other people's spit. That's what you're doing. So, and it's not just one person's spit. Remember, if you're having chip and dip with like 10 people, that's 10 people's spit that's going into the dip, because most people do the double dip thing. Most people go dip the chip, take a bite, and then dip it again, take another bite.
Damn.
It is so annoying. 42 months part of the DJ Nation, Morning. Really appreciate you, sir. Thank you. I just threw up a little in my mouth because it's bad. Because people dip half-eaten chips, and which is also gross. Really is gross. But I think sometimes it is just people don't really think about that. Yeah, free peanuts in a pub is just as bad. Like, why would you stick your hand into a bowl of peanuts that you know for a fact isn't your bowl of peanuts? That makes no sense. I think it also depends probably on culture. You get cultures that don't really care as much about that kind of stuff. And then you get cultures that really do care about that. But I know for a fact that most cultures don't give a shit. Most people will double dip. They won't even think about it. They'll just do it because, hey, it's dip. Let's go. So that's why the dips get runny after a while. It's spit? Probably. I mean, dude, there's one. I don't want to talk about it because it made me stop eating takeout for almost, I think, 2 years. For 2 years, I refused to eat takeout. Do you guys remember the Eminem song? I think it's I'm Slim Shady or the real Slim Shady song. The music video, he spits in the onion rings. And then as he's taking the onion ring, you see the spit on the onion ring. Dude, I couldn't eat takeout for 2 years as a result of that one fucking image. Because it completely destroyed my appetite for anything that wasn't prepared by someone I know wouldn't spit in my food. Have that anymore in Texas Steakhouse? They don't have what anymore in a Texas Steakhouse, prettier. So I also always use a glass when I drink from a large soda bottle, for example, because it gets stale much quicker when you drink from the bottle. Sanitation got on them. Chinese food with family or close friends using your own personal chopsticks is fine, but otherwise we have a separate serving chopsticks. I was at a buffet and I saw a lady put her finger in the ranch dressing to see if she liked it. Just like that. Fuck. Eugenius, I'm so sorry, bro. This days in Maryland, 50 people got sick from a potluck. Buffets are wild. Some people are pigs. I never go to buffets. I don't know. There are some buffets that's pretty decent. I mean, dude, you can't beat a good buffet. I don't know why, but there's something about buffets that just makes me happy. Especially buffets that sell prawns. Like, if they sell prawns, I'm there. Right? I'm going to have all the prawns I can fucking eat. See, I don't like breakfast buffets. Because it's usually eggs and all manner of eggs. And I fucking hate eggs. I went to dinner. No, not to dinner. I went to brunch with some friends. When was this? Sunday. Yeah, this Sunday in the past. Went to brunch. And everyone got fucking omelets and eggs and bacon and shit. And here I am with a burger. The waiter just looked at me sort of weird. Like, why would I get a burger when it's, brunch menu with all these eggs on it? Jeff and I went a couple of weeks ago and got horrible food poisoning. Oh. Not many people hate eggs like you. I fucking despise eggs. I find eggs to be the worst food in the world. I don't know why people like it. It is no. I hate eggs. I'll do bacon. I'll do all the bacon you have, but not the eggs. It helps for me. Lucky, I'm good friends with a chef of a Chinese takeout place nearby. Don't have to worry too much. No, I'm also good friends with the takeout guy close to me. Also a Chinese takeout. Pretty good friends with him. Although he did the other day try to sell me on the fact that actually the Chinese government is the greatest government in the world. And living in China is the greatest experience in the world. And then when I asked him, well, then why the fuck are you in South Africa? He said something about something burning and he fucked off into the kitchen. So, but he's still a nice guy. He's still that guy. I like talking to him. But yeah, we got talking about China and he basically gave me a whole elevator pitch on why China is just number one. And I'm like, all right, that's good. I ate the food of my food. Keep your greens in the garden and feed it to the rabbits. Give me the meat. Yep. I like to barely cook my eggs so the white is still almost translucent and then eat it on a dry piece of toast. You animal. He's the recruiter for the CCP in South Africa. Dude, we have It is insane how many Chinese takeouts we have here. I'm not even fucking lying to you. I don't know where all the Chinese people are, though. Like, you barely ever see a Chinese person, except when you go to the Chinese store. But there is a Chinese shop on every corner. Every single, like, no matter where you go, there are places where there's multiple Chinese stores on every corner. And you're just like, dude, where are all of you coming from? We don't have Chinatowns. Although, I'm not sure. You need to ask Cesius about that. Cesius lives in Cape Town. I live outside of Cape Town. So I've never been to... I don't know Cape Town that well. Cesius, is there a Chinatown? I know, Foul Smoke, you're in Joburg, and Joburg does have a Chinatown. Or a Japanese town or some shit like that. Voodoo in my blood, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, there is a Chinatown in Cape Town. There you go. I do like bacon and sausage piles at buffets. I mean, eggs cooked to order are all right. I don't like it. Picture. Akko lives in the wilderness in a special gated community. I don't live in the wilderness. It's not the wilderness. It is, so Cape Town grew so fast that it started to encapsulate a bunch of the smaller coastal towns that was once upon a time separate towns. My town grew so quickly that it also started to sort of connect with the other coastal towns next to it. So where I live currently is right on the border, like right on the edge of Cape Town. So I am technically in Cape Town, but to get to like Cape Town proper will take me probably like 45-minute drive to get to Cape Town proper without traffic. With traffic, probably like a 5-hour drive. So I live in Gordons Bay, which is right on the edge, but it is still very much like small town vibes. It's very small town, like how do you put it? You feel like you live in a small town, even though it is actually quite big. It's not small. American Native, you and I know. We know what they are yet to figure out. Eggs can suck a dick. Grok, how you doing, sir? Yeah, I mean, look. The idea that South Africa is unsafe is not untrue, but it's also not entirely true. It literally depends on where in South Africa you are, where you're going, and if you know what the fuck you're doing. So if you have a beach called Bikini Beach, I'm sold. Yeah, Bikini Beach is actually one of the most famous beaches in the area. And to this day, I have no fucking idea why. I have no idea why Bikini Beach is famous. It's a myth. I don't know where the name bikini even comes from, because there's not more people with bikinis there than not with bikinis there. It's also a shitty beach. It's very small, but it's famous, so people go there. People say SpongeBob. I imagine stuff happened with SpongeBob and Bikini Beach. But so if you took Cape Town, so let's just focus on Cape Town because most people want to come to Cape Town. Don't go to Joburg, it's a shithole. Don't go to Pretoria, it's a shithole. Come to Cape Town. But if you come to Cape Town, if you removed Mitchell's Plain, Khayelitsha, and one or two other neighborhoods, the gang neighborhoods, these neighborhoods are famous for being gang-organized, gang-controlled neighborhoods. If you removed those 3 neighborhoods from Cape Town, the rest of Cape Town has a lower crime rate than most European cities. Like, the crime rate is almost zero if you remove those areas. If you include those areas, Cape Town becomes one of the most dangerous cities in the world. But that's only because a lot of the death and murder and shit happens in those areas. They very rarely venture out into other areas. They sort of stick to their territory and they do their business there. So as long as you don't fucking casually roam into the Cape Flats, you'll be fine. Here's not a high bar with how immigration been lately. Well, European cities nowadays aren't that safe either. Look at London or Paris, for example. Well, I know for a fact it's one of the safest. Like, crime almost never happens if you're not in the dangerous neighborhoods. Like that, I can tell you. I can tell you it's very rare. Part of the Shadowlands. Nesam, Pretoria is just a shithole. Well, it's difficult. Pretoria is beautiful, but it's falling apart. Bad management. Johannesburg is just shit. Like, you do not want to go to Johannesburg. It sucks. It's a very ugly city. It is the largest city in South Africa. Like, it is super big. And it's also probably... It's probably the most international city in South Africa. Because remember, it's the business capital of South Africa. So, all of the international businessmen live and work in Joburg. Although Cape Town is slowly coming up. There's so many... Oh, man. If you go to, like, the V&A waterfront, you barely ever hear normal South African English. It's either American English, British English, or some other fucking language that you don't know what they're saying. So Cape Town has a lot of foreign nationals in as well. Or if you go to, like, the south, the southern suburbs, also a lot of non-South Africans there. But yeah, Joburg is also just a shithole. Cape Town is just very beautiful and pretty well maintained. Singapore, yeah, I still would like to go to Singapore as well. What about the city of... I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. Yeah, it's not in my language, so I can't pronounce it. I just found it on Google Maps. Yeah, I wouldn't even begin to try. I don't know how you would do the G and the Q next to each other, but in whatever language that is in, I'm sure they know how to pronounce that. City was a city in World of Warcraft. Which city would it be? Cape Town would probably be... I don't know. My personal opinion is Cape Town is probably the most beautiful city in the world. Not necessarily the city itself, but the surrounding area is insane. It really is beautiful. So if I I'm just gonna show you my area. I won't even show you Cape Town proper. I'll just show you my area where I live. Which is called the Helderberg area. So this is my area, the Helderberg area where I live. And I can see all of this from my house, right? So all of this I can see from where I live. There you go. That's a better view of it. And the entire Helderberg is just mountains all around. Like, literally mountains all around. I think they're busy. This is, I think, Muslims. Or it might be, there's some Christian cult that also does this. They dress and then they sit in the field and pray. But it's not Christianity, but it's a cult that sort of span off from Christianity. They believe weird shit. It looks like this is a baptism that's taking place. So it could be a baptism, it could be something else. I don't know. I wanted to show you the best place. I just saw it. Where you can actually sit and drink coffee. Now, I lost it. What the fuck? How did I lose it? Nah, fuck it. I don't know where it is now. But there's like one spot where you actually sit on the mountain and you can have coffee there. And you look over the entirety of the Helderberg area. Which is like crazy beautiful. It's like quite the view. There's like always trails and hiking trails and bike trails and pretty much anything you can imagine you'll be able to do here. During August, September, October, it's whale mating season, so you can see whales mating in the basin called False Bay. It's one of their mating grounds, so you see a shit ton of whales and stuff then, because they all gather here to mate. And then we have seals here as well, so you can see the seals if you want. What branch of Christianity are most Christians in South Africa? Catholic? No, Protestant. Catholic is actually very small here. Catholic is... Most Protestants in South Africa don't consider Catholics Christian. But it is mostly Protestant. Or non-denominational. So there's a growing movement of prosperity teachings and shit. Or what I like to call fake Christianity. But that is happening. What about the penguins? Or are they further south? We have penguins. We have the Cape Penguin. They're at Betty Bay. Hold on, sound. You speak as if I don't believe in science. We can get into that debate one day on Twitch. I do not believe in Christianity because I think science is bullshit. I believe in Christianity because I think science is about God. Lots of youth churches and Catholic churches in my area. I know there's almost every town has a Catholic church, but if I go to like my hometown, the Catholic church had something like 30 parishioners there on every Sunday. So Catholicism isn't that huge here. Does it get really loud with that many big animals having sex in the bay? No, you don't hear them. They're pretty quiet, actually. Penguins are birds. Fun fact. Birds are dinosaurs. Fun fact. Penguins are dinosaurs. X's Mana, how you doing? When I first saw a penguin, like up close and personal, because at Betty Bay, you can literally be like, you can touch them if you really wanted to. You can touch the penguins. They're that close to you. The first thing that stood out to me is they fucking stink. Like, they fucking stink, bro. But then second, they don't look like an animal that should survive. They look so weird. You just look at them and you go, why are you a thing? Like, I don't understand why you're a thing. You don't look like you should be a thing, actually. They are. Like, once they get into the water, you go, oh, that's why you're a thing. But on land, they just don't look like they're a thing. They look like they should not exist at all. Just the spin-off of Christianity without Catholicism. Christianity wouldn't even be around today. They preserved the historical version of the church through all the wars and invasions to keep it number one, but Christians are way more spiritual. I've been to both churches. I was raised Catholic, but I go to a Christian church now, very similar. They both bring different things to the table to complete the message. Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that yet. I do know I have some problems with what Catholics believe, but overwhelmingly, I won't say I have my mind made up on that. I'm a Baptist, so there's a joke in the Baptist church. It really is just a joke. It's meant in good fun. But I remember the first Sunday I met the pastor. We're good friends now. But the first Sunday I met the pastor looked at me and he was like, so are you joining us full time? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just checking things out yet. And he said, well, before you choose, you need to know, we're not saying that you have to be Baptist in order to go to heaven, but why take the chance? So I kind of like that. That's actually one of the reasons I was like, yeah, okay, fuck it, I'll stay. It sounds good. I'm Orthodox, the rest are too aggro. If I wasn't too hardcore, just like hardcore Judaism and hardcore Muslim, you can't marry anybody that's not Catholic. That's fucking crazy. Thank you. Brother Unicorn, how you doing? 38 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate it. Thank you. There's another joke. Only the Baptists will get it. Do we have any Baptists in chat? We have some Baptists. All right. The Baptists will get it. So this guy dies. He's a Catholic, and he dies and he gets to the pearly gates, and he meets with Peter at the pearly gates, and him and Peter, goes into heaven, and they as they're walking, he sees that there's a giant wall, like just this massive wall. As far as the eye can see, the wall just keeps going, and the Catholic turns to Peter and he's like, why? What's with the wall? Like, why is there a wall in heaven? And Peter goes, shh, that's the Baptists. They think they're the only ones here. We understand the joke if it's the same one. Wish I believed in something. I don't even believe in nothing. I just don't know. It's fine. It's your journey. You're gonna if you read the Bible, you do not choose God. The Bible says that God pulls you towards Christ. In other words, you don't really have a choice in that. Once it happens, it happens. You either search for it or you don't, right? It's your journey. It's what you want to do. I'm not really interested in fighting people over my faith, because I came to Christ not because of evangelism or someone, telling me God loves you. I came to Christ because I searched. I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to know what was out there. What was the purpose of life? And looking into every available argument, I found Christ. And so, I think that happens for everyone at some point. It's not to say that I don't speak to people. I'm very open about my faith. I'm very open about the fact that I'm Christian. And I'm very glad to be Christian. The problem is just that if you ask me, why should I believe? The evidence that I can give you is evidence that you will not believe. Like, I can give you a lot of reasons why Christianity is the only faith that makes sense. We have historical documents that prove that people like to use the argument, well, there's 3,000 religions, why yours? Because history shows that Christianity is the only one that holds up to historical muster. Every single historian out there agrees that the Old Testament is an insanely accurate historical account of the events that happened in that region during that time. Every historian agrees that Jesus lived. Every historian agrees that Jesus was crucified. Every historian agrees that at least at the time, there were records, extra biblical and biblical, of miracles that Jesus performed. They just don't believe that they were actual miracles. Every historian agrees, at least biblical historian, agrees that Jesus was said to have been raised from the dead, and that there are definite people, eyewitnesses, who claim to have seen him rise. So, there's evidence. I can't provide you proof because there's nothing that you can't prove anything, but I can provide evidence. But if you ask me, why should I believe? The evidence, the proof that I have, you won't believe because it's mine. It happened to me. I know what happened in my life when I came to Christ. And that's not something that you can even work with. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do with that? Right? Like, I can tell you how my life has changed in ways that I could never have imagined. But that's not going to mean anything for you, right? Like, what are you supposed to do with that? So I'll speak honestly if I'm asked. I'll defend my faith if someone attacks it. Because I genuinely believe that we're called to do so. But I'm more than happy if someone tells me, look, I just don't believe. Cool. I still love you. I have no problem with you. If you're a good person, or at least if you're trying to be a good person, then great, live your life as long as you don't hurt other people. Good. Singular journey for one to find faith. True. It's described as happening without you seeing it coming. You feel something over you, and it suddenly makes sense. I was a Methodist, but I stopped going many years ago. It's hard to explain until that happens to you. True, actually. He did rise from the dead. He lives within all of us every single day. Tadwan, I obviously agree with that. Just came in the room. Maurice, how are you doing, sir? There is only one single extra biblical mention of Jesus in a small mention in a Roman account. There's not just one single one. You also have a Jewish historian of the time writing about Jesus. Now, in the interest of being absolutely clear, there is some debate over whether or not the Jewish historian's text can be trusted, but there is Jewish historical texts that show that Jesus did a bunch of stuff that made the Jews very angry. And this guy had no reason to write about it. So now there's more than you think. Like, this is one of the things that I did, right? I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out, because I don't want to believe just to believe. I want to know that what I believe is right. There's a thing called deism. It's when you believe blindly. I think that's wrong. I don't think you should believe something blindly. I think that there is enough breadcrumbs, there is enough evidence for you to conclude that Christianity is real. All you have to ask is, are you willing to look at the evidence, right? And are you willing to make that decision? Is the evidence overwhelming? No, and I think I know why the evidence isn't overwhelming. But I still think that it's up to each individual person, right? Everyone's going to make that decision for themselves at some point. Either I don't want to believe or I want to believe. It's really your choice. Do I make mistakes? Yeah. Do I say the wrong thing sometimes? Of course. Do I sometimes say things and then afterwards think, man, I should not have said that. That was a bad thing to say. Yeah, of course. I make lots of mistakes. At a church in Armenian's ancient capital, 4th century BCE, one of the oldest churches in the world. I'm planning on visiting it if I ever go to Armenia again. That sounds cool, actually. Sound like the RPG lore of World of Darkness, biblical related lore. Forgive me, Lord, for I am evil and retarded. Pretty much, Lordy. Does exist in Con Air. If you get it, you get it. Yeah, pretty much. Something I wanted to bring up in the uncanny resemblance of the WoW Cosmo chart to the Metatron cube. Look it up. Based from the Archangel Metatron. Dustin, I have no idea what you're... Wait, Metatron... Archangel Metatron? I don't know anything about that. But I'll go look it up. Megatron, the in Supernatural. I don't. To be fair, I don't know all of the angels' names. I'm not that well versed on the Old Testament specifically. I haven't gone through the whole of the Old Testament yet. So if it is in the Old Testament, I will almost definitely not know it. Archangel Metatron is a powerful angel in Jewish and some Christian traditions who is said to have many roles. The question would be, is it in the Old Testament and the New Testament, the normal one, the King James version, or any of the sort of canonically accepted ones? Because if it is in Jewish scripture, the Jews have multiple other sources that they also view as canonical that we obviously in Christianity don't view as canonical. So there's a huge amount of angel lore that spans Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. It's pretty cool. I don't mind reading about the angels. I do know, though, that the view that most people have of angels is wrong. There's one reference to Metatron in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go check it out. To be fair, I'm not that worried about angels. Not when it comes to faith, matters of faith. When it comes to matters of like stories and lore, angels are super cool. But when it comes to like matters of faith, the angels bother me less. Pretty scary, actually. And they sometimes sound more like aliens than angels the more I read about them. Biblical angels are scary. They're very scary. That's why every angel that ever appears to anyone starts with, do not be afraid. Which should tell you that they're probably fucking scary. The Book of Enoch. Yeah, that's considered to be an apocrypha book. Angels are nothing like the artistic appearance of angels. No, very true. Meanwhile, Sanguinius, fear me, mortal. Don't be afraid of my Lovecraftian looks. Considering it just took one to turn 2 cities to pillars of salt. Dude, that's not the only thing. If you believe in the biblical scriptures, and if you believe in the authenticity of it, then a single angel killed 183,000 men or 187,000 men in a single night. Wiped out an entire army in a single night. One angel. Now, if you believe that is true, that is fucking scary. Like, that is, like, holy shit. What of the old god-looking angel? The dead ass is described as having eyes everywhere with wings and then eyes on them. That was just an angel, Moni. Wasn't an archangel. I genuinely don't know, because I think what oftentimes happens is, so the way I look at it is, the Bible is inspired by God, but it is still written by men, right? So men who were inspired by God, who were shown visions by God. So in many ways, they wrote what they saw and interpreted that with the information that was available to them at the time. Right? And so they would describe things in their own words, using their own frames of reference for things that they maybe couldn't even begin to fathom. So that's sort of how I view it, the source and their perspectives. Yeah. I think very often people read the Bible with a modern day bias. So they read it as if it was written today, without taking into account that the guy who wrote this would have been a very different human to the human that you are now, right? Very different. He would have thought differently about the world. He would have known very limited things about very limited. I'll give you guys a great example of this. In Genesis, the author writes that God made man from dust, right? Now, I thought about this long and hard. I spent a long time thinking about that. What, from dust, what does he mean? And then I thought to myself, okay, let me imagine what he would have seen. God is showing him a vision of him making man. And he sees billions of these tiny little specks coming together to form a human. To his mind, given the information that he has access to at the time, it looks like dust. It's atoms, it's cells, it's actually the building blocks of the universe coming together to make man. But from his perspective, what he sees is dust, because the smallest thing that he could possibly see at the time for in which he lived would have been dust. He would not have, he had no access to microscopes, so he wouldn't even know. If you told him that humans are made up of cells, his next question would be, what the fuck is a cell? They went, well, what is a cell? Right? So he would have no idea. And God meets you where you are, right? And so what God showed him, he interpreted and he saw dust. So, you know, you take that into account and then suddenly you go, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Flaming chariots could just be a type of spaceship coming through the atmosphere. Oh yeah, definitely. There's like so many things that you read in the Bible and you go, okay, what they saw there could so easily be something. In Revelations, for example, he says he sees a star falling from the heavens and crashing into the earth. Now, you think about what he saw, the brightest thing that he would have seen in his life would have been a star. Stars are bright. And suddenly he sees this flaming ball of fire light up the sky, falling down from where the stars are. And to his mind, it must be a star. Right? It must be a star that's coming down. What else could it possibly be? Could also be a nuke, right? Because a nuke would look similar as it's coming down. And in his mind, he's never seen anything like this before, so this is all he can think, right? Yeah, comet or an asteroid would also fit. But it is important when you read the Bible, not to read the Bible with a modern-day bias. You can't think the way that you're thinking now. You have to think, what did they have access to? What was the information available to them at the time? And what inspiration would they draw from the world around them? Because someone said this to me the other day, and it was absolutely profound when they said it. The Bible is a book for Christians that was written for Jews. Now, the point that they were trying to make is the Bible wasn't written for you. It is for you so that you can read it, so that you can get to know God and that you can learn the nature of God. But at the time, the authors of the Bible were writing for the people around them. Paul was physically writing his letters to the church of Galatians, to the people of the time. He was writing for them. He wasn't writing for you and me in the year 2024. Now, his words have absolute value and they're absolutely canonical and they are the words of God. But if you read them thinking he should be saying everything exactly the way that you need to hear it, you're going into it with the wrong idea, right? Sif, take care of yourself, man. Have a great dinner. I'm going to go in a minute as well. How do you square the paradox of evil? If God is good, why is there so much evil in the world? If it is because he cannot interfere, then is he omnipotent and God at all? Not mean as disrespect. No. It's a legitimate question, often asked illegitimately. But I'm going to assume your sincerity in asking that question. And I will respond with the following. If there is no evil, is there freedom of choice? Or I could actually ask you a better question. What is the result of free will. The potential of evil. And in order for will to be free, there must be another option, right? You can't have, if God wanted to, he could absolutely just make a bunch of robots, right? Like, he could do that. He's God. He can do whatever he wants. I once heard someone say the problem with God is that he knows he's God. So he could do anything, but he obviously didn't want to do that. He wanted to create a being that could freely choose him. And in order to be able to choose him, that being also needed to be able to choose not to follow him. Otherwise, there is no choice, right? If I tell you, well, you have free choice, you can either leave the room and get killed or stay in the room and get killed, you don't really have a choice, do you? That's not really a choice, because the outcomes are exactly the same. It doesn't really matter. So God had to allow for evil to exist. God didn't create evil, because if you read the Bible, evil is the absence of God. Evil is what happens when we remove ourselves from God. Evil is the resultant state of a natural universe, a universe with decay, a universe that needs to be free in order to either choose to obey or choose to leave, right? That's just how it has to be, or else you have no choice, right? And we can see that play itself out in the natural world around us. When people don't choose God, when societies leave God and leave the ordinances of God, chaos ensues, right? Lots of chaos, lots of destruction, lots of evil. So we can see it play itself out, but it has to be there, because if it isn't, you don't have choice. You because who do you choose? You can only choose the one. You live in a universe, and this is another profound thing that someone said to me that made so much sense once I heard it. Because another thing that naturalists and atheists will oftentimes say is, why does God require you to worship him? You know, why would this being with all this power need us to worship him? Why would God say that he's jealous, for example? And I apologize sincerely to the people that didn't come for a sermon, but I find these things infinitely interesting. But why would God require this, right? Otherwise, he's just an arrogant God, obviously, if he needs to be worshipped and he's jealous and stuff like this. But then you need to wind back a little bit and challenge your own presuppositions. And once you realize this, everything that God does, you realize is for you, not for him. You live in a universe where you have two options. There is no secret third one. You can either follow God or you can follow Satan. There is no freedom. There's no such thing as, I don't want to follow anyone. If you're not following God, you're automatically following Satan, because the things of this world, according to the Bible, is of the enemy. It's his playground. This is where Satan roams. So everything in this world, everything of the flesh, is from Satan. So if you're partaking in the flesh, you're partaking in the works of Satan. So you have these two options. You follow God or you follow Satan. There's no third option. There's no way to be free from all of this. It's one of the two. So when God says, I am a jealous God, he's jealous because he knows the destruction that exists within Satan and choosing to follow Satan. So he says, you follow me and you follow only me, because he knows where Satan leads. When God says, worship me, it is so that we do not follow Satan, so that we become stronger in God. and we are better equipped to reject the lies of the enemy. That's why all of these things exist. But so often people will claim, oh, I do what I want. No, you don't do what you want. You do what Satan wants. And challenge yourself a little bit. Go sit when you're alone. You don't have to talk to me, and you don't have to talk to anyone about this. But go and run the gauntlet of your life. Think back on your life. Think about the things that you're involved in, the things that you've done. Sin is not a passive component of the system. It is an active component of the system. Sin does not allow you to just willy-nilly engage with it. It engages back. I've used this example many, many times, and I'm happy to use it because I'm at this point a well-professed recovering porn addict. I was absolutely addicted to porn. And it brought with it a bunch of other things. It started off with softcore porn, and it ended with like very degenerate forms of porn. Not illegal, luckily, but very degenerate forms of porn, right? That it ended with. Now you have to ask yourself, what was, and then a bunch of other things alongside that. That sin moved into other pieces of sin. Go and look at your life and look at the progression of sin, and then you realize sin attracts more sin, and sin never just stays this one thing. It is cascading. It moves in a cascading in a cascading fashion. And then you realize sin is not passive. There is no such thing as I'm just going to watch a little bit of porn. The spirit that guides porn addiction doesn't want you to just watch a little bit of porn. It will absolutely start tying you down. The spirit that wants you to drink doesn't want you to just have a glass of wine. It wants you to become addicted, because through that addiction, you will find other things that you're doing that is really bad for you and that is sinful. Once you recognize this, the world takes on a whole new dimension. For example, gender forms of porn as compared to softcore. Kyle, I got into trans porn. I eventually got into femboy porn. I went very, very far. It's a battle that I'm fighting every single day. Although I've gotten over most of it. I'm pretty free from most of it, but it still happens. It's still a fight. It's still a constant fight. But it started with none of that ever. Like, I had no such issues for most of my life, and then suddenly it just happened, and it was fucking everywhere. So it's tough. It is very tough, and you don't realize it. You don't realize that it's even happening to you. It just, one day you realize, what am I watching? And then you think back on your life and you think, but I never liked this. I remember the very first time I saw trans porn, and it was disgusting to me. It was like, what the fuck is this? This is really weird, really bad. And a few years later, I was like completely into it. So it's not passive. It doesn't wait for you, like at all. It doesn't respect your boundaries. It doesn't respect your choices. It takes you where it wants you to go. And if you let it, it'll take you far. Like, it'll take you very far. I know of a guy that actually went so far as to ultimately pay for hookers to get his kicks, to get his porn fantasies sorted, right? Before he came to Christ. So that porn, luckily I never went that far. Not quite, although I do have stories about that as well. At least one person in chat knows my stories, but I won't go into that. Um, but yeah, shit's weird. This was an odd time to join the chat. Britgold J, how you doing? Well, someone asked, I have nothing to hide. It's obviously not fun talking about this stuff because you feel embarrassed. You feel very exposed. But I have nothing to hide. I have no reason to hide any of this. I did those things. And I'm not ashamed of them because I was forgiven for them. So I don't really care if people know or don't know or what people know or people judge me for it because your judgment means nothing to me. The judgment I care about, I've been forgiven for and I've been declared free of. So I'm good with anything, you know. You're good and courageous, man. Akulon, I must go, but I'm very glad I stayed a while and listened. Hey, I'm happy you stayed. Truth, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful evening, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm definitely not good. I hate to be that guy, but I must say it. I'm not good. I try my best, but I am definitely far from good. And I say that with absolute honesty. I'm not being that fake, sort of, humble. Trust me. The battle I fight every single day with sin, I am not. If it wasn't for the grace of God, I would burn in hell. And rightfully so. I would deserve to go to hell. I appreciate your honesty. But it is my absolute pleasure. I'm in opposition to judge, only God can. True, Bonnie. I just realized how much God protected me from this shit. I tried everything and never got far into them. Thanks for sharing this. Lodi, you're more than welcome. Whenever I talked to religious people in the past, we first talked about our differences and in the end realized that we pretty much have the same views, just using different words. I think for a lot of people, they get there, right? I think a lot of people do have the same thing, but ultimately, you have to... It's the journey that everyone has to walk for themselves. How it is, No one is perfect. True. I mean, I'm not suggesting no one can be perfect. Listen, the thing is, we were made in sin, and we are absolutely sinful in every way. Someone asked me the other day, they thought this was a giant gotcha moment. They said to me, so wait, you think I deserve to go to hell? And I looked them dead in the eye and I say this with absolute honesty. There is not a single human being on this planet that doesn't deserve to burn in hell, myself included. Once you understand the holiness of God and you understand just how without sin he actually is, you realize that no one deserves to go to heaven. And this is the thing that pisses me off about Christians. You have so many Christians walking around thinking like they're amazing. They're so much better than everyone else. They're so much cooler than everyone else because they go to heaven. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. You don't deserve shit. And the fact that you think you do makes me think that you aren't actually saved. Because if you were actually saved, you would realize just how much you don't deserve anything. It should break your heart that other people aren't believers. You shouldn't walk around with a chip on your shoulder. If you're lucky, you receive the grace of God, right? And that's luck. That's you being lucky that you receive that. You should be thankful. You shouldn't walk around with a chip on your shoulder. It annoys me because it does so much damage when Christians walk around judging everyone else from their self-righteous nonsense. And they don't realize that there's only one way for you to go to heaven, and that is by God's grace, not because you did something special. If it was up to you, you'd go to hell. It's as simple as that. So I hate going to church. Everyone is like that there. Akko, you gotta make sure you make a separate clip for this and make a Christian channel on your channel, bro, because this should, I would like to come back and watch. I have a Christian channel. It's not really a Christian channel. It's more, I discuss things that I care about from a faith perspective. It's sort of like a bit of everything. It's called Akko Does Life. There's only 2 videos on there because those are the only videos I've made so far. But it is there. My views change all the time, so please don't think that this is like, the be all and end all of everything. But yeah, I can link it to you guys. Oh damn! Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh shit, Titanborn with the sub. Really appreciate you, sir. Thank you. You're far too kind. I'm quickly linking it to you guys. This is the Christian channel. It's more just I sit sometimes and I think about stuff and I go, oh wait, I want to talk about this, and then I'll talk about it. Yeah, it's not so much. It's always to do with faith, though. His Waffle channel, but not his secret Warhammer one. No. Those Christians are why I don't want to go to church. Mike, church is important. It is very important. We have to be amongst other faithful, amongst other believers. But it is so important that you find the right church. Just trust me, I know. I've been to a number of bad churches. This church that I'm in now, my brother said this to me, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's a Baptist church. It's not a Reformed Baptist church, it's just a Baptist church. Although most people in the church are Reformed, but it doesn't matter. They are incredibly fundamental, hard Christians. I mean, they are hard on sin. They're hard in their faith, on themselves. But they are incredibly soft and gentle towards everyone else. And I can say this for everyone that I've become friends with at the church, which is almost everyone. They treat other people with the absolute amount of grace. But they're very hard on themselves. Very hard on themselves. They struggle with their own sins all the time, and they don't give themselves a free pass. But when it comes to other people, there's an absolute immeasurable amount of grace that they extend to other people. And that's the kind of church you want. You don't want a church where people are judged and judging others in self-righteousness, because that's usually the most dangerous of churches. You cannot judge anyone else through self-righteousness because you yourself are not righteous. And that's a lesson that I have yet to learn. I'm going to be honest with you. Many lessons I have to learn. I make a lot of mistakes. Well, I don't care if there is a God or not. I mostly follow a path similar to Shinto and Buddhism. Again, Miku, you'll either find your path or you won't. It's your journey. I'm always open to talking about it because I love talking about it. But I will never force it onto anyone. I have friends that are atheists. I love them. I have friends that are Muslim. I love them. I think they're both wrong, but I love them all the same. Even though I am Jewish, I find you talking about this interesting, and I'm glad you have made so many friends and new hobbies from your faith. Kyle, you bastard. You crucified Jesus. No, I'm lying. I'm joking. I love you, bro. No, I mean, it is what it is. Everyone's going to have their own... You'll know when it happens. Trust me. When it's your time, when God is ready to call you, and if you've been chosen, you won't stand a chance. Nothing you do can stop that. It'll just happen, and you'll just realize, oh shit, here we go. Although that might cause a lot of Christians to go, wait, what? Did he just say chosen? I am a Reformed Baptist, so yes, I believe in Calvinism. Yes, I believe in predetermination, but that's me. There is massive debate within Christianity about predeterminism and about Calvinism. So, you don't have to believe in that. It's not a salvation issue, but just know there's lively debate. But okay, I am gonna leave you guys for the weekend. We've done 3 hours, at least 1 hour of religion, alongside 2 hours of WoW lore. So, you know, love you too, Kimmy. The germ guy in Canada this year alone, 24 churches burned down on indigenous land. I heard about that. I wonder what's going on. But ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me, for entertaining my religious talk and my discussions about my faith, and for being gracious, even the ones that don't believe. Thank you for being gracious and for you know, listening. I really appreciate you all. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And I'm going to see all of you in the next one. Peace.